don't want to be in the fescue, but if you are there, you know what? Have fun. Have fun.
Yeah, you know what?
And I'll teach you the ways because I'm there way too often.
See as much of the course as possible. Why would you want to go to a golf course and only walk right down the middle of each hole? Take your time. Get the scenery.
I paid for the entire round. I'm going to see the entire property. That's my thought process. And if you want to see the entire property, it's not just a golf course that Creekmore has. They do have a new patio and bar. It's actually where I'm sitting at this exact moment. It is a great spot to watch all of sporting events, but not just if you want to go watch a game. If you are hosting a birthday party, a wedding reception, anything, just have some beers with the boys or the ladies. Come up here to Creekmore. You can also give Rick Scott a call, GM, at 816-331-2621. Again, Creekmore is where I'm located right now, and again, it is absolutely beautiful.
Yeah, it is. It's gorgeous here in Lake Tahoe. It is a balmy 59 degrees right now. We are, Sterling, you're aware of this. We are making the transition right now from seeing our breath to, all right, sunscreen time. And that happens in about 30 minutes. So we are right in that transitional period of, I think, like 10 minutes ago, I was just seeing my breath, and now all of a sudden I've got to put the sunscreen on. In fact, as I say that, Bethany's like, hey, where's the sunscreen? Because we're, by the way, Sterling, first day we're out here on Tuesday, right? I bring the sunscreen because my wife is responsible. So she goes out and specifically buys me sunscreen for this, right? Face sunscreen and SPF 50 spray-on sunscreen, right?
Nice.
And so on Tuesday, I'm offering, because, we're up on a mountain. The sun's a little bit brighter. It burns a little hotter here, right? And I offer it to Bethany and Gabe, and everybody else is like, yeah, sure. A couple of the American Century people are like, oh, dude, thank you. And Bethany's like, no, I'm good. I don't need it. I just tan. I said, oh, okay, I guess your skin with cancerous cells reacts differently than everybody else's. Okay, that's fine. So how about this? Today we're riding over on the bus. Bethany, if you want to maybe defend yourself, you can try. You can at least attempt to defend yourself. That's fine. I don't know if you're on 3 or 2, but we'll find out here. What you're on. But if you want to attempt it. So I say to Bethany on Tuesday, hey, it's going to get pretty hot. She goes, no, I just tan. I'm fine. And Bethany, what did you say on the shuttle ride over this morning?
I said I did notice in the hot shower, my shoulders are a little crispy.
Yeah. How about that, Sterling? Maybe she doesn't just tan.
Shocking.
Maybe on top of a mountain closer to the sun, it burns a little brighter.
I mean, and
well,
here's the thing.
Me.
I'm someone who does tan, Bethany. I get you because you and I are similar. We have similar, I think, skin complexions. We do tan. We tan. But I will say this. When you are on a mountain, it is very vastly different.
But she, you know what? She's being very responsible today. She's putting on the sunscreen today.
At least she finally gave me a headset. The worst thing in the world is when you're sitting there trashing somebody and you're like, I can't even defend myself here. Just gotta listen to it.
Yes. No, I will give you the opportunity though. But yes, I might have exaggerated about the back and forth that we had on Tuesday. But still, very responsible Bethany today.
Yeah, shoulders are good now.
Good.
And those American Century people are like loving you.
Yeah, they're like, oh, thank you.
They're like making several.
They're like,
stops.
hey, just spray my face. I'm like, dude, I've got the sunscreen for the face. Are you kidding me? Phrasing, you know what I mean? Like SPF 100 for the face. I've got that as well. So my wife took care of all of that. So it's great. I'm very responsible. I got the jackets. I got
Shout out Mrs. Anderson.
100%. Kaylin in the house. Well, not this year. She was last year, but. She's at the house, I guess, maybe. Or she's at the pool. She could be probably at the pool right now. I'm not really sure. Bethany, thank you.
You're
Appreciate it.
welcome.
And by the way, if you're not checking out the videos that Bethany is doing, she is killing it out here with a lot of different videos. And what's the conversation? Let's just give people a little sneak peek of what could happen today. So we'll talk with Matt Ryan. We're going to talk to Justin Reed. Going to talk to Derek Carr. And I'm going to ask him about we're going to get to the bottom of that victory lap, okay? We were going to talk to him about the victory lap last year, and the power went out here. So we're going to get to the bottom of that victory lap, what took place with he and Chris Jones on that BS roughing the passer. Ryan Fitzpatrick, Jay Billis, we'll talk to all of them coming up today, and whoever else stops by. Also, Kent Swanson's going to be at 11 o'clock, maybe the star of the stars today. So we'll talk with Kent at 11. But George Kittle's getting ready to go out there and tee off, and you had a quick conversation with George Kittle. How did that go?
It was good. He's one of the – he's having so much fun out here. Like he is
the life of the party.
And I get being serious, about this and wanting to do well, but some people are like, no, I don't really have the time, and that's been like the interesting thing for me because like just trying to navigate like famous people. I mean, but at the end of the day, like somebody said, they're just like you and me. You know, they wake up in the morning, whatever. And most of these people are so, like, to my surprise, just so down to earth. Like, we were with them last night, hanging out, at the food truck deal, and I mean, they're cool. They're really nice people. Gary Sheffield yesterday with me. Oh my God, he was the nicest guy ever. Like, holy cow! But yeah, George Kittle. I think you kind of got to find that edge a little bit because there's so many people out there trying to get these interviews.
How do we get them on Kansas City radio?
And
what do we got to bring to them?
I'm like, hey, George, if you want to talk about how you're going to beat up on Travis this weekend, I don't really think that, everybody, but, I got to make George feel good,
Talk a little trash.
I said, you can come over. We got KC radio over here. And he's like, oh, you guys are from KC? Oh, I'll be there after my round. So, hoping to get him today, maybe tomorrow. We'll see.
We'll see. But, so George Kittle said he was excited to come on so that he can talk trash on Travis Kelce. And we'll give him the bully pulpit. We will give him the podium to do that, and we'll talk about a lot of other things too if he comes over. But that's the beautiful part. We don't know who's going to stop by sometimes, and who we have planned and may not be able to make it. So we'll find out. We'll find out throughout the day. All right, make sure you're checking those things out online with Bethany. Thank you, Bethany. She's killing it.
Thanks so much. Shout out Paige back of the station too, doing so much video work and.
She's awesome.
Making it all look good. So
she is awesome. Shout out sunscreen too. You know what I mean? That's good. But doing the yeoman's work is sunscreen. All right. So a lot of things that we're going to talk about today that we'll get into. We'll talk some football with Kent Swanson. Certainly, we'll talk about the Royals last night and Jack Caglione and his 750-foot home run. I believe they only measured it at 466. I call BS on that. I think it was 750. But Cags back-to-back nights with a home run. The fun interaction with he and Vinny, the kissing both sides of the cheek. It was just fantastic. It is awesome. Real quick, before we take a break and bring on Catherine Tappan, who's hanging out here, can we just play this real quick? The Cags and Vinny Pasquantino, what should be a fun personality dynamic between the two, because we know what happened yesterday with him trying to say sweat in a bathtub. So here's just the beginning of Cag's interview, and you got to listen to the background as well.
I don't have any weird anecdotes for y'all today, so.
Not an anecdote.
Love that in the back, Vinny. It's not an anecdote.
That's great.
The rookie's even getting it wrong. It's a drop in, okay? It's a phrase that you have to use. I don't have any little anecdotes for you. It's not an anecdote.
Come on, Rook.
That's great, man. Having fun. Back-to-back days where you're going to his locker to talk to him because of big home runs. Salvi is hot. The Royals are hot. We'll see what they do against the Mets. The Seattle Mariners losing to the Yankees. The Royals have gained 2.5 games over the last 10 games. They are now 3 games out. So all of the talk about, I don't know who it was, but somebody was talking about, don't think they'll make the playoffs or get back to 500. We'll see. They're 2 games under still, and they're still 3 games out of the wild card. But these next 3 games could be pretty big. If they win the next 3 against the Mets and they're over 500 heading into the All-Star break and they're right there with the Mariners, I mean, certainly everything is different in the All-Star break of what we would be talking about. But let's take a time out. We are going to talk with Catherine Tappan coming up next. And then Matt Ryan, who is playing this afternoon, but said that he's going to be over here this morning to practice a little bit. We'll talk with him. And then Kent Swanson, I believe, is going to be here in Lake Tahoe with us live. We'll see. I'll go around looking for Kent, see if he's here or not. And then, again, we're scheduled to talk with Justin Reed coming up later on in the show because the afternoon session they'll be getting here in a little bit later on in the show. So we talked to Justin Reed last night. He said he's going to come over. Derek Carr, we talked to him last night. He said he's going to come over. Ryan Fitzpatrick was awesome to hang out with, man. His personality, since he's sort of got the end of his career, has really shined because when he was playing, it didn't feel like he was that sort of flamboyant as he is now. So we talked to him last night as well, and Jay Billis has texted Greg Gurley and said that he'll be over here sometime today. So we'll talk with Jay Billis as well. We'll take a time out. We'll come back. Catherine Tappan coming up next. when you were in your 20s. Some of those symptoms can be lower energy levels. Maybe you're not getting those gains in the gym. Maybe you just don't have the motivation to go to the gym there. Maybe you're not sleeping as much. Brain fog was something that was a problematic for me that I didn't even know what it was until you sort of get explained, like, well, this is what it is. I'm like, yep, that's exactly what was going on with me in the afternoon. And Heartland Men's Health was great to work with. And, you find out that guys in their early to mid-30s start losing 2 to 3% of their testosterone production every year. It happens gradually, and the next thing you know, that thing has accumulated, and you don't feel nearly the same way you did in your 20s or 30s. Maybe it's just the aging process. Well, it is, but there is something that you can do about it if these symptoms are manifesting from low testosterone. Schedule a consult with Heartland Men's Health. They'll do your lab work with you, have your results within 30 minutes. A licensed medical provider will review your results with you, discuss your options, help you make the decision together with their medical team. Cost of the appointment is only $99. That includes medical consult, T, and PSA test.
play there. They've got, pickleball courts. They've got, it becomes a destination. And so therefore you get the fans engaged. The players become very recognizable in the community. They spend money on the organization, and it's worked. And they got great players to come and play there. Florida's obviously, we would all love to go to the rake in flip-flops and a golf cart every day, right? So it's a destination to play. There's a reason to live in Florida. It's been fun. So I think both franchises have figured out how to make it work. Very similarly, Las Vegas has done the same. And, you look at some of the newer franchises and what they've built up around the arenas. LA is a great example with LA Live as well. They did that many, many years ago and won cups out of it. So that's sort of the formula. And when you've got the money and the ownership group that's willing to put in the dollars to make it work, you get a winning championship.
So there's there's the playing side of it, and then there's the broadcast side of it. I'm just we were watching these games, like, for you, Florida, Edmonton, Florida. What's the travel like? We talk about travel for the players, but what's that like for you as well?
It was not ideal, and now we've done it back-to-back years. I have to say, I mean, occasionally the airlines, it gets dicey. You have to connect. It's a 3,000-mile journey between both cities. It starts to wear on you. People asked me throughout the Cup final, like, "Oh, where are you taking a vacation this summer after the Cup final?" I said, "I'm not leaving my house. I don't want to see another airplane until I have to go to the American Century Championship, and then after that, college football." But you know what? It's exciting because everyone's in the same boat, right? You're all checking into the same hotels late at night, early in the morning. You're leaving. You're covering a game late at night, and you're trying to get the first flight out, so you may get back to your hotel room around midnight, and you've got a 6 a.m. departure from Edmonton, so you're leaving the hotel at 3:45 a.m. with your colleagues. You're all foggy-eyed, and but it's part of covering the series.
Yeah.
It's similar to when I cover an Olympics. It's 3 straight weeks of a grind, and you know there's a finish line, but you're covering one of the greatest events in sports at that moment, right? So you have to remember why you're there doing it, what brought you to get to this level to broadcast it, and just try to, it gets frustrating. You're going to lose a bag. You're going to get to hotels late. You're going to miss a meal or sleep or whatever, and you just have to grind it out.
Catherine Tappan is our guest. So we're on a golf course. And
yes, very beautiful one.
This video that emerged, I don't know if you have seen this or not, of NHL enforcer Nick Tarnasky on a golf course. And there is a guy who is a very drunken idiot, and Nick Tarnasky is asking him to get his bleep together and leave. And this guy decides to approach him.
Oh, boy.
This enforcer.
I have not seen this.
You have not seen this?
No, but I would not approach Nick Tarnasky.
I mean, what are you doing? And Tarnasky, just bodies him up into a pond.
Nice.
Just the guy gets up, continues to go at him, and finally Nick Tarnasky, hockey player, grabs his shirt, and as he's punching him, he goes, bang, bang.
Oh,
as he's
no. Oh, gosh.
Bang, bang. And the guy gets knocked down. And the guy gets back up and goes back at him again. And Tarnasky grabs him. Bang.
I have not seen this.
And I don't know, do hockey players, when they fight, do they typically yell bang when they connect? Is that a hockey thing that happens?
They do not. Definitely not on the ice. I don't know what they do in their free time or on the golf course. I don't know. I don't advise that for a hockey player to get in an all-out brawl in real life. It's okay when it's on the ice. That's unfortunate. Listen, the golf course brings out very interesting personalities.
This guy was really drunk.
I was going to say, a lot, I know that. A lot of, you're out in the sun, you're at altitude here, you have to remember to stay hydrated. And, sometimes booze and golf don't mix well for certain people. So it's not always the best thing.
Catherine Tappan is our guest. Let's talk some college football because Big 12 Media Days going on, SEC Media Days, Big 10 Media Days, all these different teams. And there's such an unknown landscape right now. And it feels like this is kind of a transitional period of I don't know if purgatory is the right word, but it feels like we're in the middle of what we were living through versus an unknown that it feels like these coaches are even saying, I don't really know what the next couple of years are going to be like because everybody did this front-loading thing, and so this year even some of the money that's going to players isn't technically the way that we'll be doing this moving forward. How do you think coaches and maybe athletic directors are going to start trying to navigate this thing that we just have no idea how to do it, and it's the college now, which is now becoming more like an NFL.
Well, I think to your point, I mean, we don't know, and it seems like every couple weeks there's a change or there's something more we have to try and figure out and navigate, and the coaches are doing the same thing. And I think we're going to get a lot of answers in the first few weeks of the season, and then all of a sudden it's going to change again. It just seems to be that the best way to be almost like a chameleon. You just have to adjust. You've got to be ready for anything. And these coaches and athletic departments have a lot on their plate. Unfortunately, where things are headed with the NCAA, it doesn't look like they're going to be much help moving forward. And you've got the NIL, you've got the revenue sharing, you have the collectives. Everything combined is creating a giant. It's almost like balls in a lottery ball. It's like you have no idea which one's going to pop up next. So I think it's hard. For us, it's hard as broadcasters, too, because you want to cover it with such an objective view. But there's a lot of frustration behind the scenes. You sit in these production meetings with coaches, and, they're very stressed out on the job because all they want to do is coach the football team. But now you have to deal with all this other stuff and administrative stuff and money and NIL and all of that. But I think they're partnering together. I think the athletic departments are doing a great job trying to make sure that this is fair and, that they figure it out. But it's difficult. There's no doubt about it. The landscape is changing dramatically every 6 to 12 months. And hopefully it gets to a point where it is settled and it's understood. And I think what I hope for is that more teams are competitive within each conference. We're starting to see a very top-heavy division of conferences. And, at some point you almost have to look at the professional model. And I sat on a panel with Oliver Luck recently, and we were talking about NIL, and he said at some point, years ago, everything goes off the professional model, right? Like there's a way you can take, there's business decisions you can look at the professional level and apply that at the collegiate level. So whether that becomes revenue sharing, because you have to make it equal in some capacity. You can't have, for example, in the Big Ten, Michigan, Ohio State, Penn State, now maybe USC in the conversation, and then everybody else is just never going to win. It just seems unfair. And to me, as a former college athlete, I want to see equity in the game. I want to see, kids stay on rosters. I don't want to see them transferring every year for 3 years. There's a value in being the backup and learning how to become a starter, or never becoming the starter and being, number 2 or 3 on the depth chart and learning from that. I just the essence of sports is so sacred, and the values and lessons you learn. And it's just becoming more of a big business, which to me is disappointing. But
we're seeing like GMs being hired too, and
they have to be though. Like that's the
yeah.
professional model, right?
Right.
The GM is there for a reason, and now you're seeing colleges and universities and they are finding a general manager because you have to.
Yeah.
Somebody's got to manage all this. The coach can't do it all.
Because these coaches that have been around for a while, and maybe not even a while, like we don't have to talk about guys that have been there for like 20, 30, 40 years, like a Nick Saban, before he retired, or even in the college basketball front when we were seeing Coach K and Roy and those guys. But like if you've been a coach for like 10 years, I mean, everything has changed in those 10 years. And now you've got all of these other things like Chris Kleiman, and Lance Leipold, a couple of local coaches in the Big 12 media days are like, we want to coach football.
Yes.
And, now we've got these contracts and negotiations and players that are, retention or going out and recruiting and so many different aspects of it. And Connor Riley was the OC last year for Kansas State, and he is now the assistant offensive line coach for the Dallas Cowboys because he just wanted to coach football.
Yep.
And Chris Kleiman talked about that on Tuesday and said, he's like, look, he's having a blast because all he's doing is coaching football, and we wish him, the best. But that's sort of what it is. It's like, do you want to deal with 15 things and coach football? That might be the 16th or 17th thing, or do you just want to be around football and coach? Because if you just want to do that, the NFL and the pro level might be the spot for you.
That's exactly right. And that's going to take away a lot of really good coaches, I think, in college football, and put them in assistant coaching jobs to position them to be a head coach in the NFL. And that's disappointing, but you trust me, we see the frustration on their faces when we sit in. I can picture 2 coaches just this year that we sat with, and it was just they've got great programs, they have historic programs in the Big Ten, and they just can't keep their players, and they can't get good players right now because of the money that's being thrown around and the opportunity to transfer. So hopefully, we get through this. I do believe that this is a window that we are all living through that just needs to be figured out, and at some point there will be a level, decision made, or some kind of a way that we start moving forward with rules in place, and so that other teams can become competitive, and it's not so 2-3 teams in each conference are winning every year.
Yeah, Catherine Tappan is our guest. How's your golf game before we let you go? How are you playing right now?
Well, it's usually pretty good when I'm home with my girlfriends. No, it's
traveling from Edmonton to South Florida isn't helping the golf game?
I played once in Edmonton, and I shot an 89, which was great on a course that I had not played yet, so I was very excited about that. I'm probably playing to about a 14 right now,
Okay.
but which is good for me. I know, we don't get a lot of time during the year, so I try to cram a lot of golf in the summer, and I love to play golf. So I'm hoping out here. Last year I played really well on Saturday and Sunday, so I got myself a little bit back, like up a couple spots in the
Okay.
standings. But Friday's always my worst day, and I'm like, if you could just play better on Friday, you might actually be respectful. But I have fun out there. The greens are rolling really fast. The course is challenging. It's always in amazing shape. They do a great job here. So I just love being out here with these, players and representing women. There's only a few of us in the field.
Know,
So
yes.
yeah.
Well, best of luck with
Thank
that.
you.
And looking forward to the conversations with Steven
Thank
and
you.
Jake
Appreciate
in the
that.
football
Yes.
season. Yes.
It's always good to be with you guys. So thanks,
Yeah,
Jason.
thank
Appreciate
you.
it.
Absolutely. There's Catherine Tappan. Great stuff from her. Awesome stuff. And the NHL, what a great Stanley Cup final. And we'll see what happens in college football with these media days going on. We'll take a timeout. We'll come back, continue more zone next from the American Century Championship in Lake Tahoe on Sports Radio 810 WHB. All right, we continue hanging out here in Lake Tahoe. The American Century Championship presented by Bobsite Auto Group, Zero Res, Window Nation, Gann Asphalt and Concrete. Joining us now, CBS NFL Today, former NFL quarterback here, and a man who yearly is out here at the American Century Championship, Matt Ryan, joining us here in the zone. Matt, how are you, sir?
I'm doing awesome. Played some golf.
How's the golf game right now?
It's okay. Yeah, it's okay. Hit some good shots. So we'll see what shows up on Friday. But right now, I feel pretty good.
Yeah. Does the crowd, like Joe Buck? We talked with him yesterday, and I said when you're playing, or I asked when you're playing out here, does that give you a little bit of a feeling of when you're calling the game, this is what the players are going through, playing in front of fans? Like, it gives you that sort of feeling. And he's like, I always try to remind myself when I'm out here that, and when the players are out there, that these are humans and all of that stuff. When you're doing this, is it easier for you to come out and swing a golf club in front of a bunch of fans because you played football? Or is it different when it's you all alone as opposed to 22 guys?
Correct. And I knew somewhat what I was doing in football. In golf, I think it's a little bit different, right?
Makes a difference.
So, yeah, it definitely makes a difference. I think everybody gets a little bit nervous. We're out of our element, which makes it fun and entertaining to watch. The people out here have a blast. It's great to interact with the fans. So, it's just a great event put on by American Century and NBC, and they do a great job with it.
Yeah, Matt Ryan is our guest. It's been a number of years in retirement. I mean, is it now you more used to retirement than you were playing?
Yeah, for sure. I always felt like this time of the year, especially my first year or two out, it felt like, July 4th would happen, then you get on the other side of it, and your body is just instinctively ready to go because you've been doing it for so long. I feel no instinct to get ready to go right now. So maybe I'm moving on and it's good and I'm happy in where I'm at in life.
So is it like as you first retire, as your body starts to feel that, does that increase maybe that the urge or missing it or wanting to be out there as opposed to if your body's not adjusting? It's like, this is just life. Like, do you miss it now the way that maybe you did at first or maybe you didn't?
I think you miss it, right? You miss certain parts of it. It's hard to replace the adrenaline and the focus that you have to prepare and to get ready to go play. We were fortunate a couple times this season on the NFL Today to go live from games. We were in Kansas City for the AFC Championship game, and you get out on the field.
It was warm that day.
I was absolutely frozen. I learned from James Brown that you need as many pocket warmers and stuff in your shoes as you can when you go to KC in January. But you get on the field, and that's when you're like, oh, man, I do miss that part of it, of being out there and kind of the environment and just, the pregame jitters, that level of excitement that comes with it. That part I do miss.
Yeah, visiting with Matt Ryan. I wanted to ask you about a number of things, obviously, but Patrick Mahomes and what he's doing now, and it's crazy to think that there's going to be a 3 as the first number in his age in the NFL. I mean, it happens fast.
Super fast.
And he's talked about that, too. He's like, I'm 30. He turns 30 in September. Not 30 yet, but this is his, quote, 30-year-old season, and it happens fast. And we were having a conversation a couple of weeks ago, and Bobby Witt for the Royals had made a play, and it was like a diving play, and it looked like Mahomes in the Super Bowl when he was flat and in the air. And I said, both these guys in their prime. And a number of people were like, well, Mahomes isn't in his prime anymore.
Get out of here.
And so as a quarterback,
what's
the prime for a quarterback? Like, to me, he's well in his prime. He's still got prime years left. He's only 30. As a quarterback, that's massively different than a tennis player.
100%. I look at him. I see no slowing down, and that's really my view on Patrick and what he's capable of doing. To say he's not in his prime anymore, I think is ridiculous. He certainly is. So, age-wise, it's different for everyone. Tom Brady played in his prime until he was like 45. So it can be, different for everyone. I always felt like I played my best football from about 30 to 35, 36 years old, right? And an understanding of where to go with the football, understanding of what defenses were doing, really knowing myself, too, of what I'm capable of and what I'm not, and not trying to force things like that. I always felt like, some of my best years, the year I won MVP, I think I was 31 years old. So, I don't think he's slowing down. I think he'll play well into his late 30s at a high level, and Kansas City's lucky to have him.
We oftentimes get caught up in being sort of prisoners of the moment, and the most recent thing being what we're going off of, and it was not a great showing for the Chiefs in the Super Bowl. And the Eagles were a really good team, obviously, and a dynamite defensive line. And Chiefs had their offensive line issues in that game, but Philadelphia was a really good team this year and turned it on after the first part of the year. One of the things that I find interesting is the criticism of Mahomes in the Super Bowl. And Jalen Hurts played phenomenal. Mahomes struggled at times. But it's almost viewed, Matt, as sort of a detriment that he played that way in the Super Bowl, while it's getting ignored the way he played in the night you were there against the Bills in the AFC Championship game, which I think is one of the better performances he's put on in the playoffs.
The end of that game was unbelievable.
Yeah, but that gets dismissed because of how he played in the Super Bowl. If he played average and they lost to the Bills, to some people, like, that's a better career achievement than going to the Super Bowl and losing.
Well, listen, as a guy who's gone to the Super Bowl and lost, I think
I didn't want to bring it up. I wasn't trying to bring it up that way. I promise.
It's all good. I think you got to get in front of it, right? When you're the guy on the other end, you got to get in front of it. But yeah, I think. Listen, I don't view it that way, right? You're beating Buffalo in an AFC Championship game. Some of the plays that he made down the stretch was unbelievable, right? And those are huge. Giving yourselves opportunities to win championships, playing in those games, you cannot, put a value on that. I think it's incredibly valuable. And I think, it's hard, right? Like, did he have his best performance in the Super Bowl? Obviously not. But then you look at it, and it's why, right?
Yeah.
It's hard to complete passes when you're laying on your back, or the ball's got to come out before guys are ready for it. So I think it's not to, dismiss, did he have his best game? No, but no one did, right? That whole team did not. And so disappointing, yes, but it changes my perspective of who he is as a player very little, right?
Yeah.
Like, I think he's one of the best to ever do it, and has shown that, his entire career.
Yeah, Tom Brady was 3-2 in his first 5 Super Bowls, and Mahomes is 3-2 in his first 5 Super Bowls, and the fact that he's gone to 5 in 6 years is just
take
phenomenal.
four more, right? I think they'd be okay with that.
They could be perfectly fine. Yes, we actually asked the question last week amongst our listeners that in the next 10 years, if the Chiefs win one more Super Bowl, would that be a disappointment? And I'll tell you, my answer is no, because good God, you win a Super Bowl every decade. But I also wouldn't settle and take, if somebody said you get one Super Bowl or you take your chances over the next 10 years. I'll take my chances over the next 10 years that they get 2.
Yeah.
But getting one to me is not a disappointment because one every decade would be great.
You like to go over to Harrah's, I see. You like to go gamble over at Harrah's out here in Lake Tahoe.
With Mahomes and Andy and Spags for a little bit, I think I'll take my chances with trying to get 2. And if they don't, they still got 3.
Honestly, listen, they have the most important pieces in place in professional football, right? The quarterback is in place, the head coach / offensive coordinator, play caller, and game planner. And one of the best defensive coordinators in the business. And I really view it that way. I think those things are so critical in terms of winning. I think they've shown the ability to plug in different pieces that have different skill sets and continue to be successful. And I think Andy's, if not the best, one of the best coaches to ever do it. And specifically, I think he's the best coach of quarterbacks in the history of the league. If you look at the guys that have played for him, whether it be a Donovan McNabb in Philadelphia or an Alex Smith when he was there, or Brett Favre all the way back to his time. Like, these guys came in and all played their best football. Mike Vick in Philadelphia as well, right? Like, they all played their best football under him. And I think they're all very, very different. And I have so much respect for who he is and how he coaches that position.
Matt Ryan is our guest. I wanted to ask you about something that Matt Stafford brought up and Matt Nagy brought up, and then now it's being asked about to Patrick Mahomes. And so the touchdown to Xavier Worthy at the end of the Super Bowl was a 1st and 10. They're at midfield, and he's got Noah Gray for like a 5-yard check down. It's 1st and 10. He's got Hollywood Brown that's open for like a 15-yard dig that he can hit just in rhythm. But instead, it's sort of like a bleep it, we're down by this many points, and Xavier Worthy isn't to the safeties yet, right? He's splitting 2 safeties, and he throws the ball, and he completes it. And I asked myself, like, week 7, does he do that, or does he hit Hollywood or hit Noah Gray and keep it moving? And Matt Stafford brought up something with the Kelsey brothers and said what he enjoys watching about younger players. He watched C.J. Stroud throw, like, this route that he wasn't supposed to throw against that defense.
Yeah.
And he was like, why did you do that, man? And he hit a touchdown. And he's like, well, because they played it wrong. And Matt Stafford was like, I wouldn't have even looked there.
Correct.
I would have already I would have
100%.
checked down 5 yards, boom, there we go, move the chains. And he goes, and it reminds me sometimes that I do need to go through my progressions and not just dismiss things And Matt Nagy said one of the things they want to work on with Patrick Mahomes is they feel like he's gotten too smart.
Yeah.
That he's getting to the line of scrimmage and not going here, not going here, not going
deleting
here.
too many things before the play starts.
Right before the play starts. So that makes sense to you?
Yeah, of course. And I think that's one of the – listen, there are missed opportunities that come with that. There's also a lot of plays that come with that too, right, of being ahead of where the defense is. Finding that balance, of remaining aggressive but also, making good decisions or the right decisions. I think the best players in the world, you're not sure if they're being aggressive or conservative, right? You're unsure. That you don't know. They're just doing the right thing over and over and over. And so you don't want to eliminate that from Patrick. I think experience is valuable. I think Tom was probably better than anybody in the history of league of being able to delete information pre-snap and understand where he's going. He had a lot of success doing it that way. But Patrick's a bit of a different player, right? The improvisation. I also think when you've got guys, right, like Stafford early in his career had Calvin Johnson, and I'm sure he threw a lot of whatever you called it, F-it balls up there. And I did the same with Julio Jones and Roddy White, right? Like it might not be the right coverage, but just give him a chance.
Julio's down there.
Yeah, just give him a chance. Just launch it up there, and he'll figure it out. So when you got guys like Xavier Worthy who have that top-end speed, sometimes there's a place for just going for it.
Yeah, visiting with Matt Ryan. Do you think the Chiefs have figured out the offensive line maybe this year with the rookie from Ohio State and maybe Jalen Moore back up from San Francisco?
Listen, I think they addressed it. Did they solve it? That remains to be seen. And I've always thought, though, offensive line play is about five guys coming together and being greater than the sum of the parts, right? And when they play together in the run game, the combination blocking of getting off onto the second level, like that stuff, that's timing, that's rhythm, right? And that takes work together. So I think it's going to take some time. I think Patrick's so dynamic back there, moving and being able to extend plays, that it gives those guys a little bit of a breather once in a while, which is huge. But I think they've taken the steps they need to take. And we'll see if it works out. Matt
Ryan is our guest. Last one for you. Netflix has quarterback season 2. Would you have done that if they were? Would you have signed up for that?
It's a different time, right? It's a different time now than it was, but specifically early in my career, right? Like I feel like there was this code of silence. Nobody needs to know what I'm doing or any of those things. I think times have changed. I think it's a great show. I think it's great to watch. I think it's incredible for the viewer, but my long-winded way of getting around to saying no, I probably would not have done it. I wouldn't have been open to having the cameras around that much.
Well, it's interesting. After season 1, nobody signed up for it. That's why they did receiver.
Yeah,
and then
receiver was huge though too.
Yeah,
it was phenomenal.
Yeah,
it's difficult.
Which divas though. They want you to look at them.
I think it's difficult at the quarterback position, right? Because it's just. There's a lot that goes into it. There's a lot of being the leader of a football team and talking about things that you probably shouldn't be aired, right? And so that would be my hesitation.
Yeah, no, that makes sense. And then Cousins, Goff, and Burrow sign up to do it this year. So it should be fun. But I've only seen the first episode, so looking forward to seeing the rest of it. Matt Ryan, thank you so much for stopping by. I appreciate it. Look forward to our conversations every year.
I'll see you next season. Next summer, right here, same spot.
Yeah, play well this week, man.
Thank you.
Absolutely.
Looking forward to it.
There's Matt Ryan. We'll take a timeout, come back. More Zone coming up next. just on the other side of this break. But good stuff from Matt Ryan talking about Patrick Mahomes. Absurd that he's not still in his prime. Plenty of prime to go for Patrick Mahomes. In fact, Matt Ryan saying he played his best football from age 30 to 36. That's where Holmes is right now. So we'll see what that ends up happening with Patrick Mahomes. Thank you to Matt Ryan. Hoping to talk with coming up later on in the show, Justin Reed. Talked to him last night, so he's going to come over. And Derek Carr, Ryan Fitzpatrick. But next, it's Ken Swanson. Coverage here at the American Century Championship presented by Bobsite Auto Group, Zero Res, Window Nation, and Gann Asphalt and Concrete. Thank you to Matt Ryan joining us in the previous segment. Justin Reed scheduled to join us an hour from now. Derek Carr, we'll talk with him coming up in the noon hour as well. Ryan Fitzpatrick, Jay Billis. And we'll see if George Kittle stops by. Talked to him before the show to see if he wanted to come on KC Radio and trash talk Travis Kelce. And he told Bethany, oh, my God, I can't wait. Yes, I will absolutely be over there. He's out on the course right now. We'll see how much is left in his round. But either today or tomorrow, hopefully we'll have George Kittle talk trash to Travis Kelce. We'll see. But Kittle's been here, and he's been the life of the party so far. This is his first year here at the American Century Championship. You know what's crazy is that each time we're here at Lake Tahoe, you know, we have these. We have KCSN and the KC Laboratory podcast, and our boys from there. We have them on weekly, but we don't have. We rotate them, right? But yet, Kent, it feels like every single year that we're here at Lake Tahoe, it's your turn in the rotation that we have you on. I don't think we plan it that way, but I feel like this is now 4 or 5 years in a row. We're like, all right, we're in Lake Tahoe. Let's talk to Ken Swanson.
I love it, man. I love getting the updates on how the experience is out there. You know, I'm the one on the lab that likes golf the most too. So like, you know, I think things align quite perfectly, and I hope you guys are having a tremendous time. I hope Sterling's playing beer pong with random celebrities again.
Sterling didn't make the trip this year, so how about that? That's just that's a knife turned in the back of Sterling right there. Bethany out here. So no, in fact, we went there last night, but there was no beer pong set up. We went to the same spot last night. So if Sterling made the trip, it would have been a total bust for him.
They said they wanted the celebrities to have a chance to win at beer pong and baseball this year, so they said that we couldn't bring him. They said he was too good at it, and
that's right.
We weren't allowed to bring the goat.
I'm trying to remember, was it Miles Teller last year?
Yeah, Miles Teller, David Wells, and The Miz were playing, and TJ Oshie was on the other team and his friends. So just, you know, randomness as it happens, you know, just crazy. We also talked to Miles a little bit yesterday too, and he's like, no, I'm not doing media this week while I'm out here. And we're like, well, you know, we're on in KC. You know, you do have an opportunity as being an Eagles guy. He goes, oh, man. So he started to actually think about it, like, wait a minute, hold on. I don't know that it was his choice to not do media. It might have been something with a movie or something, because it almost seemed like it was like, yeah, I'm not really gonna do it, but almost said allowed to a degree. But then saying, we're on in Kansas City, and you're an Eagles fan. It was like, oh man, I wonder if I can maybe sneak this thing in, but didn't happen. That's fine, but he was out and about last night, but no beer pong. So Sterling would have been massively disappointed, and he would have felt like the entire trip is a bust, even if we get to talk to all of the different guests that we've had on, and Matt Ryan. And look, Derek Carr is coming up in the next hour, and I'm going to get to the bottom of this victory lap. What the hell happened? How did how did the victory lap come about? What's all the stories? Now that he's retired, he can tell the things behind the scenes. He can tell us what actually is happening in these games with the Chiefs. And so we'll do that, Ryan Fitzpatrick and other people. But he would have called it an absolute bust just if he didn't get to play beer pong with anybody, really. So Bethany's killing it.
I can't tell you, Jason, how honored I am that you are talking to a litany of celebrities and voices out there, and you're still making time for old KCSN out here, man. Like I saw the lineup earlier today, and it's wild, man. Like I appreciate you having me on because like I'm sure you could go grab Nate Bargatze or something right now instead, but I appreciate it.
Well, I mean, honestly, to tell you the complete truth, right now, Charles Woodson just finished up practicing on the range, and literally, I guarantee, because we had him on last year, I guarantee you, Bethany could probably walk over there and say, "Hey, Charles, you got a few minutes?" Because I mean, he could talk about his investment in the Browns and his bourbon, he's all those things. But you know what? I'm talking to you. Okay, we got all these other people that we'll be talking to out here.
Yeah, but has he won Price is Right? I mean, has he been on The Price is Right or what?
Great point. It's a great point. He has not.
That's our celebrity in Kent, right there.
That's exactly right. I've never seen him participate.
I've never been on The Price is Right, ever. I've been on Let's Make a Deal.
Oh, well, shoot and miss. My bad. I tried to be there for you. He is a celebrity.
Oh, man.
You've never been on The Price is Right yet. Okay, let's not say what the future could be. All right, we're not gonna go ahead and we're not gonna pigeonhole you and limit your possibilities in life of what game shows you could be on. So we're gonna let this thing play out here for you. So Let's Make a Deal, Price is Right, Who Wants to Be a Millionaire? Joe Buck is gonna be on Who Wants to Be a Millionaire as well. Maybe Ken Swanson is next. Why not?
I hope so.
That'd be cool. One day. Trey Smith, we know he's going to be a millionaire 23 times over if he does not sign his deal on July 15th. Or, excuse me, they do not come to an agreement. He's already signed his franchise tag. Kent, what do you think? He was on with Kay Adams. Now, I think this thing was filmed or taped, the interview with Trey Smith. I think it was taped a little bit ago. I don't think that thing was taped yesterday. I'm not sure because when she played the Patrick Mahomes clip and the Patrick Mahomes interview, she said yesterday Max Crosby made news by talking about you, and Max Crosby was on that podcast talking about Patrick Mahomes like a month ago. So anyway, she talks to Trey Smith, and he says, yeah, hopeful that everything gets done. And certainly we know both sides are hopeful that it gets done. We're 5 days away. Kent, does it get done?
I think it gets done. The message around Trey Smith has been pretty consistent. Like his, I leave it up to my agents. They're going to take care of it. I think the world of the Kansas City Chiefs. I think the world of the front office. And so, he said the right things. He's been remarkably consistent throughout the summer. Anytime he's been asked that question, I do feel like the Chiefs do get something done with Trey Smith. It feels like Trey Smith wants to be here in Kansas City. And you hear some of the comments that he makes on Up and Adams today, talking about how protecting Patrick Mahomes keeps him up at night. I think it's a good omen that he's in this State Farm commercial coming up because I have a hard time believing that, that Trey Smith is going to be on a commercial and on the franchise tag in 2025. All signs seem to point that something's going to get done. And maybe Mahomes is pulling a couple favors for Trey Smith, getting him in these commercials to kind of sweeten that pot a little bit, right? A little circumvention of the salary cap by helping some of his buddies get some promotional deals. I don't know. I feel like something gets done in the next few days, but the closer you get to it, the more nervous I do get.
it's just smart for Patrick Mahomes to say, hey, Trey, take less money. I'll get you in these State Farm commercials. Just everybody wins. Everybody benefits there, That would be smart if that was actually the case.
Great Tom Brady thing that could potentially be happening there. And, Pat's been talking to Tom a lot this summer, so you never know.
That's what I was thinking, too. Like, look, Tom, we're not going to pay you this money, but we will invest in this over here. we can throw some cheese your way for this. Does that help offset that so we can go and get a couple of other players here? Would it be – let me ask you this. July 15th comes and goes, and they just couldn't get it done. Couldn't get it figured out. They were close, but some of the details, and I know deadlines spur action. We'll talk about that a little bit here as well with the Chiefs and how that typically goes. But let's play the hypothetical. 5 days comes and goes, no deal is done. Is it the worst thing if they do play and Trey Smith does play under the tag for this 1 year?
Yeah. I think it's I don't want to say football malpractice. I just think it's a really poor handling of the offseason if they aren't able to come to terms with Trey Smith here this year. Playing him on the franchise tag would be a big loss for this organization as they kind of try to keep things together. And honestly, the offseason wouldn't make all that much sense either. Like, I think if they're not able to get something done with Trey Smith, it feels like maybe they should have looked at some other alternatives and looked at different paths. Like they traded Joe Thuney with the emphasis on keeping Trey Smith and aren't able to come to something or come to terms on something before the free agency deadline and have to use that franchise tag. It seems like a kind of a mismanagement if they aren't able to get something done with Trey Smith.
Yeah, I don't think you would go into this offseason. Like, I think the Chiefs want to get something done. And I think that's the position that Trey Smith has and where he can, be probably, even more forceful in the negotiations. He knows he's getting $23 million this year no matter what. And if I'm Trey Smith, like that's where I would like to start. I mean, if I'm going to get $23 million this year, I'm not going to take 20 to sign a long-term deal. I'll take the $23 million guaranteed this year. If I have to bet on myself, I'll bet on myself, and then I'm going to make a massive amount more next year, and I can go get another $60 million. So it could be, a 3-year, 4-year, $80 million contract that could be like, guaranteed dollars. If like you get 23 this year and the next year you get $60 million guaranteed over, 3-4 years, something like that. Okay, now I just got a 4-year, $80 million guaranteed. Okay, that's not bad. The position he would be in if that's the case, just sort of randomly coming up with numbers there of what could happen. And for the Chiefs, like you go into this offseason, if they didn't think they were going to get something done with Trey Smith, I don't think they trade Joe Thuney. When that salary cap number came out, Kent, they put the franchise tag on him because at that point they had to look at it and go, we know the franchise tag is all offensive linemen. So if that's $23 million to Trey Smith, the cap number that we have this year, we know that we can cover that now. And so we're going to go ahead and put the franchise tag on Trey Smith. It would be odd for them to do that, and then it would be odd for Brett Veach to do that and not have an idea of what Trey Smith was really wanting in a long-term deal and mismanaging that and missing their shot from that standpoint in the contract if it were to come about like that. That would be surprising if Brett Veach misread the room on Trey Smith.
You would think so, right? Like, and I do, that's why I do tend to have a great deal of optimism that the deal gets done. And I say those things critically about if they don't, but I do expect that they've read the room right. They have a good pulse on things, and they will be getting a deal done. I do think it is a little interesting, and like the franchise tag does throw a wrench in things, right? Because I mean, I don't know if you know off the top of your head, Jason. Do you know what the highest APY currently for an interior offensive lineman is? The highest outside of Trey Smith APY. Do you know what it is off the top of your head?
Is it? I was going to guess like 20 and change, or maybe 21.
It is $21 million with Landon Dickerson on the APY. So there's a $2.4 million gap between what Trey Smith is going to be making if he just plays on the tag in fully guaranteed money in 2025, and the APY of the highest interior offensive lineman. That is a big gap to try to navigate, and that was what was so confusing about when it first happened. And I mean, like. There's a lot of room to work there, right? So there's a lot of ground that has to be made up by the Kansas City Chiefs now that they've done that because they didn't want to lose Trey, and I think they I think there would have been a very competitive market for Trey Smith if he ultimately did hit that market. But, I think the Chiefs might have been close, in March and elected to just play this game and try to figure things out. But it's hard to think that Trey Smith is going to take an APY less than the franchise tag in 2025, and that's a lot of work there.
Yeah, I think both sides are too motivated to not get it done. Like, I think Trey Smith wants to get something done long term. Like, if protecting Patrick Mahomes keeps him up at night, then that's something that obviously he cares about that, right? There's an investment there personally with him. So if that's the case, and the Chiefs clearly with the moves they've made in the offseason have decided that Trey Smith is a guy that they want for the longer term. On this team. So it would be a surprise from that standpoint. I don't know that he would take less than 23. Maybe he will. Maybe, they don't want to set the guard market by $2.4 million. Maybe that would be the case, but, we'll find out. I mean, it's like, I don't think he should take a hometown discount because we don't expect team or players that are coming from other teams to take hometown discounts, right? Like, it's like this guy should take a hometown discount. Well, if this guy was a free agent, did Jalen Moore take a hometown discount? Did Jawan Taylor take a discount, right? Do these other guys take discounts? No, this guy's on your team, so pay him what he's worth. So we'll see. But this is also a franchise that typically it feels like deadline spur action, right? Like, they can just sort of play it like we've got time. All right, now it's time. To get this thing done. And so that's why I think there might not be news right now. Like, they might be getting closer and closer, but there is not we have to get in a room and hash this thing out right now and get all the T's crossed and I's dotted to get this thing signed because the deadline's coming up. They've got 5 days. They can slowly continue to go back and forth on whatever the finer points and the details of the contract are. And then when it comes time to the clock is running out, then we're going to get together and figure all this stuff out.
Yeah, and I'm sure there's been great communication throughout the process. I have no doubt about that, especially you hear, the way that Trey Smith has spoken about basically both sides of the negotiations, right? His people and also, the regard he holds the Chiefs front office in. So you have to think that they've maintained really good communication throughout the process. And to your point, the deadlines make deals statement, like maybe they're real close. Maybe they've been close for a while, and it's just a matter of there's no need to do it tomorrow. He showed up in good faith for mandatory minicamp, didn't cost himself any money there. So I think all signs point to a positive process, and that's what gives me hope that something gets done before July 15th.
I'm with you on that. Ken Swanson is our guest, KCSN, KC Laboratory Podcast. I wanted to talk to you about this before we let you go. ESPN's doing their positional players and the top 10 and getting votes from execs and scouts and things like that around the league. And they did their top 10 edge rushers. And not showing up in the top 10 was a Kansas City Chief, but an honorable mention, so showing up in the top 14 was George Karlaftis. I'll be honest, I was surprised that George Karlaftis even showed up because I feel like he's a guy that maybe nationally may not be viewed in a way that we probably view him here in KC. But I guess if it's execs and front office and player personnel and scouts that maybe they have a different view of that. What was your take on George Karlaftis being listed there?
So, I was a little bit surprised to see him as an honorable mention player, but I think it kind of speaks a little bit to the nature of the edge rusher position, right? And I think there are players that can achieve high sack numbers we'll call it like a Hassan Reddick type player who can be a situational rusher and be a really disruptive player off the edge. And then there are players that, play the run well, that are, more run defenders that do some good things in that regard that, there's few that can kind of do both, right? And so the premium and the value of a player like George Karlaftis, who has some pass rush production, but also is very good against the run, probably ups his value more than we appreciate in Kansas City. And I think there's a top tier of edge rushers out there. I don't think George Karlaftis is a top 10 edge rusher, but when I think you're looking at the full body of work and you go and look at the remainder of the pass rushers in the National Football League, I think it's fair to assess, George Karlaftis, his ability and his value somewhere in that, that 10 to 25 range in the National Football League. So, I mean, he's worth, he's worth appreciating. The value of what he gets in the market will be fascinating to see. How much is that value? Like, obviously he's not going, I don't think he's going to break, the top 5 APY when it's all said and done. But like, I think we'll be surprised at how much value George Karlaftis has, especially with a lack of, with a lack of talent that can play both run and pass in the market at the edge position.
Kent Swanson, KCSN, KC Laboratory Podcast. Kent, you're the man. Appreciate it, brother. I look forward to our next conversation, or our conversation next year while I'm here in Lake Tahoe, and we can catch up yet again. And we'll make sure we plan it that way.
Yeah, I'm all in on that. Go find Charles Woodson and ask him about his bourbon.
I will do that. Kent Swanson is our guest. Kent, you're the man. Appreciate you, brother.
Anytime.
All right, there's Kent Swanson, KC Sports Network, KC Laboratory Podcast. We'll continue rolling along. We're hanging out here in Lake Tahoe, the American Century Championship. Our coverage presented by Bobside Auto Group, Zero Res, Window Nation, and GAN Asphalt and Concrete. We'll take a timeout, come back. We'll continue more Zone right after this. Fantastic spot, and look forward to it each and every year. Joining us now from American Century is Eric Schneeberger, and thank you so much for joining us. Really appreciate it. We do this every year, and one of the cool things that we like to do is the fantasy golf part of the ACC championship. So we'll get into that a little bit. But how are you feeling, man? It's good to see you another year out here.
Yeah, thank you for having me. It's great to see you too. Yeah, I feel great. I mean, this year we've got a great field with a couple of new folks. So as you know, George Kittle is out here for the first time, which is really exciting. We've got probably the most female golfers we've had in a number of years, which is really exciting as well. So everybody is having a great time. Jake Owen was on stage last night, which was fantastic. I hope you got to enjoy that.
That was cool.
So, I mean, there's nothing better than being out in Lake Tahoe, I will tell you.
Yeah, it's a trip that we look forward to each and every year for many, many different reasons, but also because of how great you guys are to work with and the event that you guys put on. And you allow people to get an opportunity to come out here by, the fantasy golf that they play. We do a little bit with the show, and sort of bragging rights there, but I also play it as well just in case, I mean, I think I'm eligible. I don't work for American Century, but I think I'm eligible to win. So it's fun, but can you explain a little bit of about how the fantasy golf goes and how people can get involved in that?
Yeah, sure. So this is our 5th year doing it, which I can't believe it's been 5 years, honestly. But we really created it because we wanted to find a way to get the fans involved that are watching at home in addition to the fans that are here. So to create a team, you just go to accfantasygolf.com. We divided all the players into 5 different groups based on their golfing capability or ability. So you would pick one of your favorite celebrities in each group. And essentially, we create scores every day. You can change your team every day after play. The cutoff time for signing up for tomorrow's play is midnight tonight. The same goes for every other day for the subsequent days of playing. But what's really fun is the prize. Yeah. So if you win the overall, so basically having the highest score for the entire weekend, you not only get a trip for 2 to the American Century Championship for 2026, but you also get $10,000 to be directed to the charity of your choice.
Amazing.
So, and then we have daily prizes. So we also have 3 more trips to the American Century Championship for 2026 that we're giving away, which includes tickets and lodging and airfare. So it's a really exciting way to get involved in the tournament, which is so embedded in charity, right? So this tournament's raised over $8 million for charity over the years. And it's in keeping with the mission of American Century Investments. We're always looking to help our clients grow and secure their financial future, but at the same time, we're 40% owned by the Stowers Institute for Medical Research in Kansas City, and so we're inspired by our impact on the world, in addition to our impact on everyone's day-to-day that invests with American Century Investments.
Yeah, it's fantastic, and it's one of the reasons why we talk about and love coming out here, but also love working with American Century. Is I don't know how many companies take 40% of the revenue and give it to charity.
We might be one of the only.
Yes, I know, right? There might be like, well, a portion of this goes to charity, a portion, which is a very ambiguous term, right? A portion of this, putting a number on it, that 40% of this is going to go to that institute to help with cancer research and all of the breakthroughs that have been made through the years with the money that goes there. It's just, I mean, we talked to Michael Pena yesterday and Rob Riggle, and we're talking about Big Slick because of Children's Mercy, and certainly, and Michael Pena was talking about the best part about it was when they got to go to the hospital and see the kids and everything. Like, he's like, the event is awesome, but just being there and you see what these kids are going through, but that's ultimately why you guys are doing what you're doing.
That's right. I mean, it's been over $2 billion since the year 2000 that we have directed towards the Institute. And you're right. I mean, cancer and other gene-based diseases impact all of us in some way. And it's really inspiring to be part of that. Yeah. I mean, it's not just work. We are doing so much more. And when you invest with American Century Investments, you're investing in everyone's future.
Yeah, and you make it fun for a lot of people out here at the American Century. I ask different people, like, along the way, I'm like, all right, how you playing? Kind of trying to get a little bit of an edge if I can. And I was told yesterday, The Miz, and I don't know if anybody out there is going to use him in his fantasy, but he in their fantasy golf championship and competition, but at ACC Fantasy Golf, go there. I talked with him, and he said he started this Ms. Golf YouTube channel.
Yeah, he did.
Specifically because of this tournament every year. And he said, I'm tired of finishing in the 80s. And, there's like 90 people every year, and I'm like finishing 86th or in the mid-80s. He said, so all I've been doing is practicing and getting lessons and practicing and practicing. So I kind of feel like that group 5 – I may throw a dart and maybe throw maybe put Miz in there. I don't know. Maybe throw Miz in there if he's that serious about, because I wouldn't have done it in the past.
Right. No, without
because I've seen him play, right, and you've seen the scores. But if he's that serious about it, and he's had this YouTube Miz Golf channel for a while, that he's put all this time and effort into it, I don't know. I feel like this might be the opportunity to get a sneaky one in Group 5 with the Miz. I don't know. I'm trying to get as many edges as I can in this thing.
Yeah. He's really dedicated to this, and those if you haven't seen them, those YouTube videos are really fun to watch.
Yes,
I mean, what an entertainer the Miz is. I mean,
great.
It's so much fun.
Yeah.
And he pokes fun at his game, but he's really into it, and he absolutely wants to take a step forward in the rankings. I'll tell you who else has really made strides in his game is Charles Barkley. I think he went from Group 5 in fantasy to Group 3 based on his handicap over the last few years.
Wow.
And so I'm trying to think about where they think he might finish, but they're looking at maybe he finishes around 65.
Wow.
Which, in previous years, that wasn't even a chance.
Yeah, out of 90 golfers, he would finish like 111th sometimes.
That's right.
It's bad.
That's right. So he's really been working on his game as well, and I think he's, he might be a sleeper also.
Yeah, visiting with Eric Schneeberger with American Century. All right, so the Smash for Cash.
Yeah.
What is this thing? Because I haven't been over to hole 14 yet, and I need to get over there. But explain what's going on with this and how the money is helping.
Yeah, so we're always looking for something new to do every year, and fun for the celebrities, fun for our clients that are here. And so we created this thing called Smash for Cash, and it's out on 14. We're using a TrackMan, and it's calculating a couple of different statistics of everyone's swing. So it's calculating the ball speed, the club speed, and then ultimately what's called a smash factor, which if I'm not sure if you're familiar what it is, but it's basically a calculation of ball speed divided by club speed. And really what it is, it represents the amount of energy you're transferring from your club to your ball. So it's not about how hard you swing, it's about how well and efficiently you hit that ball. And so in addition to that, we're using some really cool AI to take a picture of the celebrities, we're pulling off the background, and we're creating this AI-generated image and putting it up on this gigantic monitor for everybody to see.
Wow.
And it's been going really well. Right now we have, and on top of that, there's a competition. Of course, there's always a competition, right, with these athletes. And so if a team scores on average over a 1.43 smash factor, we're donating $500 to the Stowers Institute. So far, over the course of yesterday, which we raised $7,500, as of this morning, it's at $10,000, so it just keeps growing.
Yeah.
I think people are getting better at this. But that competition is in play, and the athletes are really interested in this. And they're playing off each other. So right now, and it might have changed just recently because we've got guys teeing off every few minutes. But right now, Jerome Bettis and Jay Billis are tied for first at 148. And so that's really exciting.
Wow.
I was talking to them just last night about it, and you've got a couple other guys that are like, I'm gonna get them tomorrow, and it's just really great fun.
That's awesome because it's one thing to have a long drive competition. But then it's like, well, I'm not going to be able to win that one.
You're
I
right.
can hit it as hard as I can, but it doesn't matter. But it's a great point about it's the amount of force transferred. So you don't have to have the long drive. It's about how well you hit the ball and the transfer of that force. That's an awesome idea. Who came up? Was that you, Eric? I'm going to give Eric Schneeberger credit for it. Well done, Eric. Good job.
I wish I could take credit for it, but we have a fantastic head of brand at American Century Investments, Wiley Kane, and she worked to come up with the idea and executed it flawlessly. So.
But you hired Wiley. Good
I
job.
did, yeah.
Well,
that's right.
Well done, Eric. Yes, I mean that's fantastic. Good job. No, I can't wait to get over there and check that out. It looks like a lot of fun. Do you play even for fun the fantasy golf? Do you put a team together?
I have
maybe
one.
If you're not eligible to win, but do you put a team together?
Yeah, I have one, and in my group one, surprisingly, I picked Derek Lowe.
Okay.
Because he's a great golfer, and he's like just on the edge. But most people, by a large margin, have been picking Marty Fish.
Yeah.
So of course, it goes Marty and then Steph number 2,
Yeah.
but. I understand there's a 2-to-1 difference in choices. So for those of you that want to try to choose something that others haven't chosen, I would go with somebody else maybe in Group 1 because everybody's picking Marty.
Yeah, okay. I'm going to mark that down. No Marty and Steph. Okay, that's great. I feel pretty bad if Steph has another hole-in-one this year, like he did a couple of years ago.
Yeah, no, I mean, that would be great. And certainly on 17 where we have the $1 million hole-in-one, I mean, that would be just spectacular.
It's been like 15 years since we've had one on 17.
Yeah,
We've had a couple. Tim Brown had one last year,
right.
And Steph in 2023. We got to get one on 17.
Yeah, I think over the 27 years of the tournament and the time that we've been doing the $1 million hole-in-one, 2 people have won it.
Yeah.
But it's been quite a number of years.
Now, that $1 million goes to them?
So the
or
way
you?
Yeah.
Or
No,
Wiley?
Neither. What's great about that is, again, just like 40% of our profits go to the Stowers Institute for Medical Research, the $1 million is split 60% for the hole-in-one winner.
Yeah.
So $600,000 goes to the celebrity that gets the hole-in-one, and 40% goes to the Stowers Institute for Medical Research for furthering their cause around researching gene-based diseases. So, I mean, that's a win-win for everyone.
Right.
So I'm hoping that someone here hits that.
And that person, whoever it is, gets to, have their videos played over and over again of them hitting a hole-in-one on hole 17. So
all of those
they win as well. How many is this year? 27 for American Century was sponsoring this.
That's right.
Could you have imagined, of just the growth of this over the years? I mean, 27 years ago when this whole thing started, it was nice. It was a cool event. But to what it is now, I mean, obviously what you guys have put into it and the people that have worked on it at American Century and the planning this whole thing out and coming up with it and starting Monday for next year.
Yeah,
I think
right.
that would be like this thing. Could you have imagined that it would become what it's become over the last 10, 15 years and continuing?
I mean, it's been incredible. And, one of the things I'm most proud of with the American Century Championship is that, back during COVID in 2020, we were one of the first live sports events to be televised, which was great. And it feels like from that point until now, the championship and its coverage has just exploded.
Mm-hmm.
And, it's thanks to you and other media that are really interested in covering this. And the players, I mean, they're just fantastic to watch. And they do some amazing things on this golf course. So we're grateful to everyone involved to expand this footprint as much as it has.
Yeah, and I would say the golfers, the celebrities, entertainers that you choose matters as well.
Oh, yeah.
Because one, they've got to have a name, but also they've got to actually enjoy being out here and enjoy interacting with people and enjoy being around other people that they may, maybe they're not, having a lot of fun being in the public in general. But here, everybody's taking pictures. Oh, yeah, sure, it's a picture, autograph, whatever. I think that's part of it that maybe it could be missed if it's just like, let's just grab the biggest celebrity names possible, which might create for a lesser experience for others.
Yeah, I mean, the culture here is really fantastic. And so when the celebrities come, I feel like there's just been years and years of that camaraderie built up over time.
Yeah.
And there's a culture here. What I love about it is it does mirror our culture in a lot of ways where we're always thinking about how can we make the event better? How can we, enjoy the company of others? And I mean, they're just so fantastic with the fans, with our clients that are here, and they really make the difference.
Eric Schneeberger with American Century. Thank you so much for stopping by. I got to make it over to 14 to check out the Smash for Cast to see what that thing is because I'm pumped to see how that whole thing works. And,
do you think you can get a 1.5? That's
no
the
chance.
No?
No chance. No chance. Although, the guy I do the show with, Sterling, will probably be the first to tell you, I can get a 1.6. I get a 1.7. He would probably come up at like a 0.2 or 3, but he would tell you at least. And then after getting the 0.2 or 3, he would then tell everybody, I got a 1.6. I got a 1.7.
Maybe break it. He hits it so hard, right? It just explodes on the tee.
I can't hit golf balls anymore. I have to have a specific golf ball that doesn't break when I hit it. It was one of the. I would not be able to do that. I'm not much of a golfer at all, so I would not. Hitting the ball on the fairway, that's my smash. For
all
cash,
right,
is what that is. I've nailed it at that.
We'll
point.
Look forward to seeing you out there.
Absolutely, Eric Schneeberger with American Century. Thank you so much as always.
Thank you for having us.
Absolutely. We'll take a time out. We'll come back. We continue with more right after this. Sports Radio 810 WHB. Jason Anderson with you. Sterling Holmes, Dylan Michaels. We are in Lake Tahoe, American Century Championship. Our coverage presented by Bobside Auto Group, Zero Res, Window Nation, and GAN Asphalt and Concrete. We're going to be scheduled to talk with, because coming up this afternoon is going to be the next round of golfers. A number of golfers on the course right now. And then the next round of golfers starting here in the next couple of hours here at the American Century Championship, and that includes Justin Reed and Derek Carr, hopefully in the next hour. We talked to both of them last night at the event. And Justin, I mean, look, I know that, you hand over the reins to Jaden Hicks, and it's a salary-capped league. But, man, I really enjoyed having him in Kansas City. So I'm looking forward to that conversation, to catch up with him, his 3 years in KC, the Super Bowls, time with the Saints now. So some other things to talk with Justin Reed, and also get his thoughts on what he thinks about Jaden Hicks, who is the new Justin Reed, if you want to call it that. So we're out here in Lake Tahoe, and hopefully Derek Carr as well after Justin Reed. Sterling, you are hanging out at Creekmore, right? What's going on there?
Yeah, baby. I'm hanging out here at Creekmore. It is absolutely gorgeous, a beautiful day. I'm hanging out on the patio, which is a brand new patio, and their bar is phenomenal. Again, it's not just a great golf course, which, again, they always say the shortest drive of the day is getting here. Again, every once in a while, if you're good, that will be the shortest drive of your day. If you're me, you maybe have a snap hook or two. That makes the hole a little longer. But no, it's been a phenomenal day out here. And if you were wanting to have a birthday party, hang out and watch some games, they have TVs that watch all these sporting events, Royals games, Chiefs games, you name it, they have it. You can give Rick Scott, GM, a call at 816-331-2621. And I'm getting some Joes soon. Someone was generous enough to bring by Joes. And I cannot be more excited because football season is coming up, Jason. We're talking it. We're going to talk a little Trey Smith, I'm pretty sure, soon. And the best thing about Joe's is they are good for your tailgate. And if you are like me, I can't cook worth a bleep. And so what do? Yeah. I order Joe's. We actually took Joe's to the Savannah Bananas game beforehand because we're like, let's tailgate. And like, Sterling, you bringing the grill? You cooking? I said, I have something better. I have a better idea. I'll bring us Joe's. And that was the right choice. So make sure if you're in the hankering for some good food and you don't want to cook, or maybe you can cook, it still ain't going to be as good as Joe's. So stop by Joe's, any of their 3 KC locations.
Yeah, that's nice. I am jealous of that. I mean, I know that we've got some stuff here going on, but I'm jealous of you getting to enjoy some Joe's today. The food truck was last night, and just real quick, and then I want to hear these Trey Smith clips, but just real quick, there was a newer food truck that they had last night, and there was this, it was a Mexican dish with bacon-wrapped shrimp. And it was unbelievable. As we were going through, the guy's like, which one do you want? He's like, this one's bacon wrapped. I'm like, what bacon wrapped? He goes, yeah, this is the one we won the award for. I'm like, okay. And I went back like 3 or 4 times. I know you're supposed to try other things, but I just kept going back to get, I'm like, I wonder how much this would cost if it's not free, because I've had like 7 of them. These are tacos, right? These are bacon wrapped tacos. And
Jason
I keep going back
got a tab. You somehow ran up a tab at a free event. Congratulations.
It was unbelievable. I kept going back, and I was letting him know. I'm like, dude, I've been to all these different places and tried everything. This is the best thing you guys have had. He goes, I know, we won an award for it. I'm like, no kidding. Anyway, and Joe's has won plenty of awards as well, so I am jealous of that for you having Joe's today. Trey Smith, he's going to make $23 million this year no matter what, at least, well, he's going to make $23 million in guaranteed dollars even if he doesn't sign or it doesn't come up to a long-term agreement. So we know he can make a lot more. Here's Trey Smith with Kay Adams and talking about the contract extension, July 15th deadline. It is 5 days away. Here's Trey Smith talking to Kay about that.
I know you're here at a commercial.
Yeah.
We're shooting. We're having a great time. The season's ahead of us. You got tagged this offseason. I want to talk a little business. Highest paid guard in NFL history. Mm-hmm. July 15th is here, okay? Yeah. Long-term deal. What's the latest from Beach?
I leave it to the hands of my agents and, obviously the front office staff of the Chiefs are elite. And, at the end of the day, I just let them take care of it. I just have to focus on being the best version of myself, being the best football player, and being prepared for training camp because St. Joe's is around the corner. That's going to be we don't want to talk about that right now.
No, you don't want to talk about that right now. Okay. It's interesting. Yeah. I mean, it's sort of what you would expect him to say. That, I let everybody handle that like you want to get something done. But 3 o'clock on Tuesday is the deadline. And look, I mean, Pretty Ricky's been right about a lot of things. He's missed on a couple. But he has tweeted out a couple of different times that the Chiefs are going to get something done. And a few days ago tweeted out that it sounds like the Chiefs are on the goal line of getting the deal finalized with Trey Smith for a long-term deal. And I think that would be the case because here's my guess and my read of it, Sterling, is as the days go on, it's the counter. Here's our proposal. Here's our counter to that. Okay, here's our counter to that. And as you get closer and closer to July 15th, then it becomes more frequent. And then probably Sunday or Monday or this weekend is when this is our only focus now. This is all we're doing is focusing only on this and going through these negotiations and getting something done because we have the deadline of July 15th. And while we've been working on these proposals, we haven't had to really hash it out and come to an agreement in like an hour. We've had this time, and once Tuesday gets here, I do believe something will be done.
Well, what's funny is it's all finesse. It's so finesse. And then you have to realize Trey Smith is a power guy. So use power for the contract. Someone's going to have to make a power move. Someone's going to have to – I know it's a joke, but someone's going to actually have to make either a power move or make a concession somewhere. That's just the name of the game when you come to these long-term contracts. Whether that's the Chiefs or Trey Smith, I think if you're a fan, you want it to be the Chiefs. If you were Trey Smith and his family, you want it to be the team that acquiesces and agrees to whatever he wants. Again, I'm still intrigued by this. I know we've talked about Pretty Ricky and those when there's smoke, there's fire with that guy. But again, with Trey Smith, I don't have a good feel personally of which way it is leaning. I think obviously both sides want a long-term extension done, and especially here in Kansas City. But when we're talking about resetting the guard market, if you're the Chiefs, yeah, Travis Kelce's contract comes off. Yes, Hollywood Brown's contract, and there's a lot of other deals. Juwan Taylor's contract comes off, but you got a lot of other guys you need to pay. And do you want to have the highest paid guard and center on your roster? These are just some very difficult conversations to have, especially when you look at, one, what does this offensive line look like without Trey Smith? But two, you haven't found the ability to develop guys, so you need to start paying more money, which you've done with the Jalen Moores, and eventually we'll see what happens with Josh Simmons. But I just keep going back and forth. I don't know which way I guess I find myself, Jason, which side I'm even leaning on when it comes to making Trey Smith the highest paid guard in football.
Well, I think he's going to be that. I mean, obviously he's going to be that this year no matter what by, the $23 million franchise tag by a couple of million. So, and if he signs
but
a
I'm fine with
deal,
that, Jason.
It's going to be, but it's going to be highest paid. Right. Either way, it's going to be highest paid for the next, 2 years until somebody passes him up, whoever the next guard would be, since he'll reset the guard market, then somebody will surpass him. Because there's, Trey Smith is good, but he's not the best guard in the league. And so there's going to be somebody that says, I'm better than Trey Smith. Look at these numbers. Look at these analytics. And he's getting $23 million. I want $23.5. And therefore, he won't be the highest paid guard in the league when that happens. But to the point, right now, he would be this year and probably the next couple of years if he signs the deal. And I think ultimately something will get done with that.
Well, I guess for me, Jason, I'm fine with him playing the franchise tag and the $23 million this year because there's so much uncertainty at three other spots on the offensive line. With its left guard with Kingsley, left tackle with either Josh Simmons or Jalen Moore, and right tackle with the penalty factor that is Juwan Taylor. Again, I'm sitting here going, I understand Trey Smith this year on the franchise tag. It's that long term because if you have some guards that hit, whether that is Hunter Norzad or C.J. Hansen, or if it is Kingsley Sumatia, if you can kick Wanya Morris in, well, then you're sitting here and you're like, that's $23 million, or let's say $18 million probably that could be spent elsewhere. It's just a very difficult situation for the Chiefs to try and navigate. It would obviously help if there's been more success developmentally wise on the offensive line for KC. Again, the question keeps coming back to Andy Heck, or at least it does for me.
Yeah, let's take a timeout. We'll come back on the other side. Number of golfers are showing up here for this next round. And so we are going to talk with Justin Reed. He is playing in the afternoon session, so had a chance to talk with him last night at the event, and obviously just as nice off the field as he is when he's doing the press conferences as well. So we'll sit down with Justin Reed and talk with him about this offseason and what it was like playing for Spags and being a safety in Spags' system, and Jaden Hicks now taking over for Justin Reed and not having to go to St. Joe. Like, I actually don't know where the Saints maybe I'll try to look it up beforehand or not. I'll just ask him where they do training camp. So we'll talk with Justin Reed, and then Derek Carr is around here as well, and he's warming up and getting ready as well. So he said he was going to come over and join us. We'll hopefully have Derek Carr right after Justin Reed. So that is the plan over the next couple of segments. We'll take a timeout. More Zone next. All right, we continue right here on Sports Radio 810 WHB. Jason Anderson with you. We are hanging out at the American Century Championships in Lake Tahoe. It is presented by the Bobsot Auto Group, Zero Res, Window Nation, and Gann Asphalt and Concrete. And joining us now, a man, Chiefs fans very familiar with this guy, Justin Reed, joining us here in the zone. Justin, good to see you, man. How are you?
I'm great, man. I mean, the weather out here in Tahoe is just fantastic. Like, it's just a cool breeze, perfect conditions, great weather to play some golf.
Yeah, so this weather or St. Joe? Which, what do you think?
I'm about to take this. St. Joe, hey, listen, everyone can see St. Joe gets hot. It gets legit hot.
Where do the Saints have their training camp? Is it as bad?
We're going to do part of it in New Orleans. We are going to spend 10 days in Los Angeles.
Okay.
And then the rest of it, we're going to be back in the boot.
Okay.
Yeah, it's going to be steamy.
Okay, I was going to say,
steamy.
But it's still going to be steamy, and there's still
Yeah.
going to be some of that to deal with, like it was up in St. Joe. Yeah, guys don't typically look. I remember Travis Kelce talking. He's like, man, for a month every year, he's like, it's over a full year of my life.
Yeah,
year of my life spent in the dorms in St. Joe. Are the dorms as bad as are they okay? You know, now that you're not a chief.
Yeah, you know what, like. The first time I went into training camp at St. Joe, I was like, boy, like what the hell is this? Like, what are we doing here? You know what I mean? But it kind of grew on me. You know what I mean? Going to a place where it's like it's only the team, and you really get to build the football team and know what you got, and it's football all day, and you stay down the dorm, stay down the hall from your teammates, and you guys can talk about the playbook or different things that you saw throughout the day. The experience really kind of grew on me.
That's cool.
It's not that bad, especially if you bring your own mattress.
Okay.
You know what I mean? That's mandatory.
You got to bring
your own mattress.
Okay.
Yeah.
Because then I would say, like, guys, I mean, you got some taller dudes for just some regular dorm mattress, man.
Yeah,
I mean,
you can't deal with that. Yeah, it's like you're sleeping on bricks. Now you got to bring your own mattress or at least rent one.
He's out for 2 days because he's got a bad back from how he slept in the dorm room. You know, I don't know, that won't fly.
Yeah.
I don't think in the NFL. Justin Reed is our guest. You were just in Kansas City a little bit ago with the J. Reed Indeed Foundation and the event. How'd that go?
Yeah, we had our annual golf tournament, our second year doing it, and then it just gets better and better. We had a ton of support, a ton of people come out, great celebrity presence, great presence of just Kansas City people coming and playing some golf, and raised a ton of funds that we actually used to put on our J. Reed and D boot camp, where we partner with UMKC and take high school age kids, and we put them there for about 3 weeks of financial literacy, STEM coding, job training, just life skills in general.
That's awesome. That is really cool. Why that sort of a part of it for you to do that for the high school kids?
Yeah,
to set that foundation.
It kind of follows my story a little bit. Like, one, I believe strongly that you don't know what you don't know, and I believe that exposure above anything else is what opens doors. Because if you've never been exposed to something, you don't know about it.
Right.
You know what I mean? So I just want to open kids' eyes to different environments. I want it to be on a college campus so the kids can see themselves there. And just want to, teach them things that maybe they haven't seen before, or, refine them if they have seen it before. But above all else, we just wanted to give them reps at doing something new and help them build their self-confidence in doing something that they haven't done before. And hopefully that experience allows them to try more new things in the future and, give them some opportunities.
And you became known, in the NFL and certainly around Kansas City when we found out about, how good at chess you were and continuing to win, and be the best chess player in the NFL. That's obviously something that's pretty important to you. And that goes along. I mean, look, knowing how to play chess can transfer to a lot of things in life.
Absolutely.
I would say maybe even your golf game. I don't know.
Absolutely. You know what? But it's like what I love so much about chess and football. I think of chess and football the same way.
Okay.
You know what I mean? I'm gonna dive into that. Like the chess. You have your setup. You see what the your opponent's about to do. Things you've seen before. You can actually game plan in chess. It's crazy. You can look up your opponent's games and see what they've done before. So you can, that's film study. With football. So you see what they're setting up, and a lot of times you can see. Okay, I can tell if I was in his position, this is what I'd be trying to do. So let me either stop that before it gets started, or let me set a trap and let him think that he has it, and end up biting him in it on the back end. And you can do the same thing with football. Offenses line up in certain formations to do things. You know what I mean? You can get the answers to the test just by your film study and knowing what's happening. So sometimes you just nip it in the bud. You make a call that just completely takes it away. Or if you're in the right call, you can try and bait them into it and try and create a turnover, an interception, some type of splash play. So both of those, that mental gymnastics is is really stimulating and really fun for me.
I'm going to guess that you did do film study in chess when you were going up against the other NFL players, right?
Yeah, absolutely, man. We're going to have a couple games.
Of course
I'm going to take every edge. I'm a competitor. I want to win.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I'm going to take every edge that I can.
Justin Reed is our guest. I know Spags used the term, and I thought it was great, having the chalk last.
Yeah.
And being able to do that, adjustment. Here's the audible, there's the audible, here's what we're doing. We're adjusting to this, and whoever's got the chalk last, can win. And, boy, with Spags, it always felt like you guys had the chalk last a lot.
Yeah, well, the greatest things about the way Spags did it is his defense is intense, and there's so many checks, but he really gives the keys to us, the players on the field, to make those calls and put us in the right situation. So he prepares us all throughout the week. And then when we see offenses doing things, he already gives us the tools to go out and make those checks, so that way we can have the chalk last and make things right. It's pretty fun.
Yeah, visiting with Justin Reed, and now a New Orleans Saint, unfortunately, but 3 years with the Kansas City Chiefs. What was it like, just playing for Spags? Because you guys, he's not a guy that ever wants to take credit for anything, and I think there's still sort of an embarrassment from him with the "In Spags We Trust" shirts.
Oh yeah,
because whenever somebody mentions, his face gets red, and he's like,
"Oh,
those
guys."
Still
blushes from that.
Right. I mean, but that showed what you guys thought about him as a coach, that you guys had those shirts.
Yeah. And the story behind that is we're getting ready to play the AFC Championship game against the Baltimore Ravens in Baltimore, and we try and tune out the noise, and the only thing that's important is what is spoken in the locker room and what we believe in ourselves. But you still hear it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So the T-shirts was to say, hey, we don't. Again, we're reinforcing that we only care about us and what we think and what we know we can do. And we trust in the system, we trust in the game plan, we trust in Spags and the game plan that he's putting together, and we're just going to buy into that. We don't need anyone going rogue or going out of pocket feeling like you got to do anything outside of what the defense is calling for. And, we just went out and executed.
Yeah.
Had a hell of a performance.
Yeah, it was an amazing game there in Baltimore. It was awesome. And what makes it even better, maybe, I don't know, is the attempted intimidation by the Ravens before the game, trying to, bully you guys. Come on, there is a big dog in the AFC, and it's not the Ravens, all right? So I know you're in their house, but you didn't seem like a group of guys that would walk out onto the field and be intimidated by guys 100%. That were just trying to push you around.
Coach Reed has a motto in the locker room. He says in the team meeting all the time, where it's like, throughout the week, we're going to talk our opponent up, only say good things about them. Whatever they want to do, that's fine. And then as soon as we step between those lines, then, we'll show who the real bully is. We're going to play hard.
Yeah. Justin Reed is our guest. How much do you guys really hear with the stuff that's being said from other teams the week leading up to it?
You hear it. But really the biggest thing is about how do you use it?
Okay.
Does it make you change who you are? Or do you use it as fire and motivation to just make your level of execution that much tighter and that much better? You know what I mean? So it's about using it the right way.
Yeah, that's interesting. Yeah. And it seems like, what we've heard this offseason, Patrick Mahomes was just on a podcast with Kay Adams and said, I'm just tired of the talk. I just want to go play football. Everybody's been talking and talking and talking. Let's just go play football. It's a group of guys that it seems that, the loss would burn a fire brighter than even the win in a Super Bowl, maybe, coming off that thing.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, you always try and learn regardless of the result of the game, but you definitely learn more in defeat. You're able to have a little bit more of an introspective and more appreciation for where things went wrong and how you make things and how to consistently improve. So there's a lot of things that you take from every experience that you have that I'm sure they'll continue to build on.
You never want to lose one, but do the 2 rings make it easier to come away with a loss
you
in a Super Bowl?
keep things in perspective. We had a chance to do something that would never been done before, and it stung that it didn't work out. But you take a step back, and it's like, well, how many teams have, If we got to rewind the clock and say, hey, you're going to go to 3 straight Super Bowls, you're going to win 2 of them. I don't think there's a man alive that would say, I don't want that deal.
I'm going to I'll take my chance with 3.
Exactly.
Yeah. And you did. And when you were signing with the Chiefs, any chance that you? There's no way. Okay, I'm going to come here to Kansas City, and I'm going to get 2 rings and go to 3 Super. But that's the plan.
Yeah.
But life takes its course too.
Yeah.
But to think that was what the next 3 years were going to be like, and what a phenomenal signing, and what you were for the Kansas City Chiefs, and that 3-year run was just amazing.
Yeah, it was special. It was a really special time.
Justin Reed is our guest. Playing the safety spot for Steve Spagnuolo, why is that such a vital part? Because Spags took over, he went and got Tyrann Mathieu, Then they went and got you.
Yeah.
Why is it such a vital part of, like, we have to have a guy that is as smart as anybody on this defense to play safety for Spags?
I think one of the most powerful things was, one, you have a very cerebral, smart player who's always in the right spot, in Nick Bolton. And then you complement that with a player in the secondary to where me and Nick were able to just work together so well. Like, I covered his back, he covered my back. We saw things the same way. We were able to make every check to what we saw. That just put us in an advantageous position to go out and execute. So having a guy that's able to go out and play make, and Spags uses his safeties a lot to, like, make tackles. You got to be a great tackling player if you want to play in Spags secondary, because a lot of the plays funnel towards the middle linebacker and the safeties. So you got to be great tacklers, and you got to be great communicators. And you mix those things together and pair that with a high level execution. Then you're cooking with Crisco at that point. You're really getting things burning.
When you look back, was it obvious that it's like, I'm leaving Houston, I'm going to Kansas City, and was it obvious that Kansas City was like, Justin Reed is our guy?
Yeah.
Looking back over the time now?
Yeah, they made it. They came after me pretty hard. And, I think Patrick was like on his honeymoon or something whenever he called me, putting in his bid to get me to come sign with the Chiefs.
That's kind of hard to turn down at that point.
What I mean? Yeah. So it's like they do a really good job with the recruitment.
How much does the defense get better because you're going up against Andy Reid's offense, and how much do you think Andy Reid's offense and Holmes and Travis Kelce and those guys get better because they're going up against Spags' defense in training camp?
Well, the best part is that everything is so, like, the level of the playbook is so deep.
Yeah.
So you get a chance to see everything. There's some teams that's like, all we do is run cover 3. We don't do anything except run cover 3. You know what I mean? But in Spags' system, you get to run cover 3, you run cover 2, you run cover 1, you run cover 7, you run cover 9, you run man under, you run blitzes, you run blitz 0, you run blitz man. You know what I mean? You get a little bit of everything. So you get to expose our offense to all of those different looks. Yeah. And then same thing vice versa. Coach Reid is going back 50 years in the playbook, looking at, film where you can't even tell what the guy's name is on their jersey. Yeah. You know what I mean? Looking at the films, it's so grainy. And he's pulling plays back from them. And, you get every concept. You get a little bit of the trickery. And it just keeps you tight on your fundamentals. So I think both of those complement each other, that as you're going through the season, you're going against teams, and it's like, well, we've seen that look before. Our offense or our defense have provided that to us in training camp, and we got a couple reps at it.
What's the – Justin Reid is our guest. I've always wanted this. What's the balance of, you guys are in training camp, we know you're one team, but, boy, the emotions get hot, and guys can
everybody wants to win.
Defense wants to win, offense wants to win.
You know what I mean?
So the balance between, I want to win because we've got pride in the defense on this team, but also, like, hey, Trav, you did this here, and this is what I did.
Yeah.
If the next time, if you do this, in a game against somebody else, this might help you, but also I might lose the next rep by you doing that.
No, 100%. This is the pecking order of it. It goes, 1, nobody gets hurt. That's number 1. Like, you don't hurt. Nobody gets near Patrick. Like, you know what I mean? Like, hey, like, number 2 is everyone wants to win. You know what I mean? It's competitive. We're not giving up reps anywhere. And the only way I'm not going to allow myself to win is if I think it puts somebody in a position that they're going to get hurt.
Okay.
You know what I mean? So don't get hurt. Everybody wants to win. And then the next one is, okay, now build up, start sharpening your teammates up. Build them up. Me and Travis had some conversations. We had our one-on-one reps where he was giving me clues on, different things that he's looking for against a press safety in order to try and create a window. And then you also talk to some of the young guys. I tell them, like, hey, you need to run this route this way. Because if you don't run it this way, then I'm waiting on your break. You know what I mean?
Right.
You're just telling me what you're doing before you get to it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So we just want each other to be ready for the season. You know what I mean? Like, at the end of the day, the reps on who wins doesn't matter. We all want to win.
That's
you know what I mean? But what we really do want to do is we really want to win in January and February.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Justin Reid is our guest. All right, I got to ask you about Jaden Hicks, because he's talked and he said, I'm playing Justin Reid's position.
Yeah.
I'm now Justin Reid, but he's Jaden Hicks.
Yeah, yeah.
What do you see from him, and do you think he's ready to slide into that role that you did so well for 3 years?
Well, this is the same thing I've told him, and same thing I tell every DB. Because when I first signed with Kansas City, everyone says, "Where are you going to be the next Tyrann Mathieu?" And I said, I don't have a chance at being the next Tyrann Mathieu. I can't be Tyrann Mathieu. I can be the best Justin Reid I can be. And that's the same thing for Jaden. Jaden can't be me, but he can damn sure be the best Jaden Hicks he can possibly be, and that player is damn good. You know what I mean? So he can step into those shoes. He can feel it. He can tackle. He's athletic. He's willing to learn. He listens, and he plays hard. So he has all the tools to be successful.
Did you see it early on with him maybe last year that this guy was going to be good?
Yeah, we knew early on that we had to find ways to get him on the field.
Yeah. Justin Reid is our guest. Is it a requirement, and I've been wondering this for a while, is it a requirement that when you leave the Chiefs you have to go to the Saints?
You know what? It might be in the contract now. It might be. It's one of those unspoken rules.
Sorensen, Colin, Willie Gay, Tyrann Mathieu, Justin Reed.
Yeah,
I mean, he's like, you leave the Chiefs, you got to go to the Saints, man. How is it so far with the Saints?
I like, I'm from Louisiana, so it's like I'm right back in my backyard, getting to build the defense again and being a part of something. As far as building a culture and the level of input that Coach Moore and Coach Staley allows us to have the keys in order to help set the culture of the team and, bring it back to the promised land. It's been a lot of fun.
Is that fun that sort of you get to invoke your wisdom of being in the league for 7 years, winning a couple of Super Bowls, going to 3, and being around a team that's usually looked at as you step in, it's the culture of the Chiefs, that now you can go there and say, look, this is you want to win, this is how it's done.
We have a lot of guys, you know what it looks like.
Yeah.
You know what it looks like when it's good, and you know what it looks like when it's not good. You're
Yeah.
able to use that wisdom to help build on it. And for me, like you start getting up there in years in the league, going into year 8, and it's like that's what really keeps me so involved in the game. It's like helping the next man, helping build them up, sharpening them up. Because the same time that I'm coaching and teaching you, I'm also reminding myself about what my technique and what my reps are, and keeping my level of attention to detail very high too. So it just keeps you extremely involved in the game and keeps that competitive edge.
Is there ever even an iota of like, well, if I teach this guy, then he takes my job?
No, not at all.
Yeah,
because I feel like if you should be so confident in your ability and what you're able to put out there that it shouldn't matter.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And at some point or another, this is really what I learned the most from Kansas City. You need every man. It doesn't matter if they're second string, doesn't matter if they're third string. Every year in Kansas City, in these championship seasons we've had, there's been somebody who's been called upon that wasn't a starter that came up and made a big play when we needed them to make it. And that's because guys poured into them and helped them be ready for that moment. You know what I mean? So it's the same thing.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? True teams, you don't worry about that type of stuff.
Yeah. Justin Reed, you'll be missed, man. I know that in Kansas City. It was a really fun 3 years, and I know this on Thursdays we look forward to. It's like, okay, here at the press conference, we're going to get the coordinators and Justin Reed today. All right. Yes, we get Justin Reed today. Heck yeah, we get Justin Reed today. I was lobbying for the Chiefs to say, you know what, Mahomes Wednesday, Reed Thursday. Can we just do that and just call it a day?
Yeah.
But it's been a blast to listen to you and watch you, and certainly with the Chiefs. And best of luck with the Saints as well, man.
Appreciate you guys. Thanks so much.
Absolutely. There's Justin Reed. We'll take a timeout. We'll come back. We continue rolling, hanging out here in Lake Tahoe, the American Century Championships. More Zone right after this. Bobside Auto Group, Zero Res, Window Nation, and Gann Asphalt and Concrete. Joining us now is Derek Carr in the zone. Derek, how are you, sir?
I am doing great. How have you been?
I have been just fine. We've decided to pay the electricity bill this year, so we've said the entire interview, we're going to go ahead and get it on the air and not just halfway through.
Yes, we're going to actually catch everything this time in one take.
That's exactly right. Yes. I know you're retired, but you look good, man.
Thank you very much.
Yeah.
I really appreciate it. I've been working hard still. This isn't the show that called Mahomes fat, is it? It got quiet. I'm sorry. As long as it's not you, Mahomes is definitely not fat.
I got my own issues to deal with right here.
My man,
in the
my
waist.
man Pat is on a full speed track to the Hall of Fame.
Yeah.
He's doing a fantastic job. And if he's fat, then there's a lot of people in trouble.
I wish I was fat. I do have a dad bod, but I don't have a dad bod and 3 rings. I got the one ring. That's what I've got. How's retirement like? It hasn't been long. I know that.
Yes,
so.
It hasn't been long, but honestly, it's been real freeing for my mind. It's been great because I really didn't know how much family time I was really missing. The NFL quarterback life. There's only so many people that really understand the hours that you're putting in and the time that it takes. Even when you're home, you're not home. Even when you are watching a movie with your family, you're not watching the movie with your family. Your mind is elsewhere. You're thinking, and it's just, I've been so free to just, be there for my wife in full capacity. I'm all alert, and I thought I was until I retired, and I realized, wow, man, thank you for being an amazing wife. Thank you for being amazing kids. I didn't understand how much you guys were putting up with, and so just being able to be fully there. And I tried my best to always be fully there for them. But I can really see it now, and that has been probably the best part. It's just being there fully for my wife, fully for my children, and not having my mind elsewhere or on something else. That's been the most complete part.
It's really interesting because when you announced your retirement, I will tell you this on the air. I said, I don't know. He's saying he's retired, but I'm going on record. I think he's coming back. I think he'll be back maybe in a year or so. Hearing you say that, I don't know that you're going to be back anytime soon.
I don't know. Yeah, I am definitely retired. But I've learned to never say never.
Okay.
Because usually when I say never, I end up doing that exact thing. And so I will never say never.
Never going to give Jason $1 million. So thanks, Derek.
The door is always there, and I know people have already called and are calling and want to call my agent and all this kind of stuff. And he asked me a question. He asked me a question about some team or whatever, and I was like, look, man, I wanted to play for the Saints, and he knows that. And he's like, all right, if this happened or this happened, what do I sent him a picture of my kids playing on the beach and my toes in the sand, and I said, I'm good, bro.
Wow. Does your body around this time start to be like, because this was the final push, you play, and now it's training camp time. Is your body expecting to get ready to go to training camp?
So my body is definitely ready. My mind is not there at all. I am far from training camp. He asked me, my agent asked me, he's like, how do you feel? Did you miss OTAs or anything like that? And I said, I miss them 0%.
Wow.
And so I'll miss the camaraderie. I'll miss the locker room and the going through the process and the struggle and all those things with your buddies and lifelong relationships that you grow through this game, even out here with players that were older than me. I didn't play against, but you get to know them and just the relation. You miss those things. But the NFL is a brotherhood, and it's forever. And that's what I'm learning. And everyone is there for you, afterwards. And you're getting texts from everybody, people you played against you didn't even know would text you, and all these kind of things. So you get some cool stuff like that. We'll see.
Who's your brother going to pick for MVP now?
Exactly. That's what I said. I was like, bro,
killing him, right?
You can't pick the Raiders. You can't pick the Saints. You can't pick me.
What are you going to do now?
But that's what I call. That's what everybody wants their brother to be like.
That's exactly.
They always believe in you.
Yeah.
And he was always hoping that I'd get that one that got stolen from me when I broke my ankle.
Yeah.
That one still breaks my heart. I saw Matt today. I saw Matt Ryan walking around. I was like, Matt, you took that one from me when I got 8 screws to. But
that was a great season, though. I mean,
that was a great
unfortunate.
Year.
I mean, let me ask you, is that something that now that your career is over, is it something you'll look back on and be like, man, did you ever look back on it while you were playing of I wish something was different there, or now that you're done playing, is that different?
I mean, just in human nature, you look at some of the situations some guys get in, and you're like, man, that would be so fun.
Yeah.
Just being real. You're like, gosh, that'd be fun, but that's not what God had for me. My situations were different. Some were great. We had some great years, and some were really hard. We walked through some heavy stuff also, as a leader, as a quarterback, and pulling your team out of certain things. And I look back, and I told my wife this. I was like, yes, I didn't win the Super Bowl ring. I didn't get that MVP that year. But I am fully complete from everything that I gave to my teammates, everything I gave to my coaches, and most importantly, what I did with what God gave me. And so, man, I sat back and I was like, I'm like, my heart is fulfilled in that way. Yes, do I wish I had a Super Bowl trophy and, that MVP season and all those things? Like, yeah, but I still feel like there were some years there that I could have got it, and you went to Pro Bowls and fun things like that and experienced the NFL in that way. And so who am I to, judge if it was, this or that? It wasn't this. My dad, he said it the other day. He's like, Derek, he's like, you are my son. He's like, my son. His favorite team was the Raiders growing up. Sorry. But he's like, my son is the all-time leading passer for the Raiders. Touchdowns, yards, game-winning drive. He's like, that's so freaking cool,
Wow.
And I was like, I never thought of that, like, as a dad.
Yeah.
So I was like, you know what, it was pretty good.
Yeah, my dad's favorite team when I grew up was the Raiders, too, and
How
we're
about
in Kansas City.
what happened?
I don't know. Like, he just wanted to be contrarian, just always wanted to choose something. It's weird because he rooted for the Raiders, but then in the early 90s, then he had season tickets to the Chiefs.
Oh, man.
And I'm like, well, just choose one. I mean, just come on. And then it was like, well, the Chiefs made the playoffs. Well, they're going to lose in the playoffs anyway. It was like, all right. You know what? Okay, that's fine. You go root for the Raiders then. Okay, come
absolutely.
on. My son's first ever game, though, something in common with you. My son's first ever game was the game in 2020 when you came into Arrowhead and won.
Wow.
So he refuses to go back to another game. Thank you. Thank you so much. No,
I may have to call him. Yeah, it's okay to go back. I promise they're going to win more.
It's your fault, son. Okay, but no, that was his first experience, and it's funny in that game. He's there, and I'm like, don't worry, they're going to come back. Don't worry, the Chiefs are going to win. Don't worry, this is what they do.
Yes.
All right, they'll find a way to win. But man, you guys had it that day.
We
you
did.
guys absolutely had it.
You know what was crazy is that team right there. I think about that team. We had Ruggs, Waller, you got Renfro, Jacobs, myself, the offensive line, and I'm sitting there. I'm like, man, let's just keep growing this thing because we're a pretty good team. Even when Kansas City came to our place later that year, we had a great game all the way down to the wire. Pat threw a touchdown in a busted, we busted a quarters. And Travis, the one guy you don't want to leave open in the red zone, Travis is open. But like we were like, man, if we're playing like this with these guys, we beat them in a close game, and we barely lost to them in a close game. Like we felt like we were going like this, and then everything happened. And that's the one area I look at. Like, what if that never happened?
Yeah.
What if that right there never happened? But hey, it did, and we move on. But tell your son to go back to Chief games. I promise they're going to win a lot more games this year, especially at Arrowhead.
That's right. Derek Carr is our guest. So after that game, there was a victory lap on a bus.
How about that?
What happened? How did that happen? How did that come about with you guys taking that victory lap?
Yes. So this is the story I was told, and I was on this bus. I didn't hear it, but I know Gruden. Okay, so apparently the bus driver pissed Gruden off. Okay, somehow, some way, and we're about to drive by. He said, "You know what? Take us around another lap." And so it wasn't like at Andy or at the Chiefs. It was just more at the bus driver. And Gruden's quick to flash on somebody, and so he flashed on him. But then everyone found out, obviously, and then we're like, it's still hilarious, But when Kansas City, when y'all came to our place and beat us late in that game, I'll never forget who's the fullback, Sherman. He's screaming at Gruden, we're gonna take a victory lap around your stadium. Like I remember, and I was like, just as a competitor, it's funny, like up yours, but like at the same time, I was like, yeah, you got us.
Did you know that it would be what it became? Because that was like the story of the next like month, and certainly leading up to that game was about the victory lap by John Gruden and the Raiders.
To be completely honest, like we didn't think on our side, we didn't think anything of it. Like it was like I would say Gruden did a great job. We just shielded ourselves from hearing anything.
Yeah.
We did a great job of that. We had a good veteran group that didn't read or go into all that. Mm-hmm. And so we knew, like, we did it when people found out, but we weren't like, oh, they're going to be pissed about it. It was Gruden and Andy. I mean, they're friends.
Yeah.
I was like, we'll see. Maybe they're just jawing at each other. Who knows? But then it was definitely something when Sherman and the offense started yelling after. I was like, oh yeah, Gruden, you pissed them off.
Well, that's what's so funny about like the Chiefs are like, when it comes to like press conference, it's like, well, no, we're not really. You guys are talking about that, but we're not really aware of it. Yeah. And then that game happens, and they talk about a victory lap. Then they beat the Bengals in the AFC Championship game. Burrow had my ass. Like all week, you're talking about like, hold on, did you hear him say Burrowhead or 100%. Not? Like not a big deal. Like I know Chris Jones was like, we'll see you guys at Burrowhead, joking. Isn't that what it's called, right? Yep. Sort of like playing it off. Boy, after that game, there was a lot of emotion let out about Burrowhead. But during the week, it was like, look, that's not going to get us more motivated to play in this game. We're playing in this game,
100%. You know what's funny is, like, as an athlete, and especially at the highest level, 11 years, I was like, man, you take your mind to some crazy places just to try and, that's my enemy. I was listening to Tom talk about that. I was like, I got a lot of friends in the NFL, but when it's time to play, I'm trying to make you in your job. I don't want you to have a job after this. I want the defense coordinator fired. My favorite thing was when we beat somebody or last second or whatever, and then that guy gets fired. Like, I love that. Now I don't. After the fact, as a human, like, I don't love it. I was like, he's got a family, he's got kids, but there is that. And so, like, we all athletes. Now that I'm out of it, I can be honest. We all say the right things. But there are definitely some things being said when those doors are closed and it's just us. But you don't want to put the worst thing a coach wants is, why'd you say this? Now they're talking about this. I want them talking about the game, know. But there absolutely, you hear that stuff.
Yeah, it's funny because we'll bring it up to players and it's like, man, I know they hear it, but I get what they're doing. Yeah. But then after postgame, you can't hide it anymore.
No, postgame, even if you are hiding, because genuinely there's so much we're thinking about. Yeah, you're focused on your game, your assignment, playing good football. And hype isn't going to win the game. But afterwards, when you do it, we're smack talking. Burrowhead, all that kind of stuff. That stuff that just comes out absolutely.
Yeah. Was there a bulletin board material you remember that was maybe a little extra that after the game was over? You're like, let's let them know.
So we lost to the Chiefs. We lost to the Chiefs one time, and I can't remember, but
come on, Derek, one time.
No, it was the one many times we lost to it many times. But there was this one time where Andy Reid after the game, and I love Andy. He was like, man, we had just signed Alex or I was going to draft you. I was like, well, thanks, Andy. Don't tell me that. I was like, why'd you tell me that? But anyway, so we're like, I'm sitting there, and I remember hearing the post game, and I never read anything. I just tried to always stay focused on the process. I don't know how I found out. But he's like, yeah, we knew we hit him early, and we knew the game was over. And I said, oh, okay. And I was like, I remember that. And I just remember that it just motivated me, every time after that. Like, that's why I was diving over people for first downs at home against the Chiefs, taking my head off, like, getting hit while I'm throwing. Like, I was like, after that, I was like, that ain't happening anymore. Because I was like, I don't know what it was. It wasn't in my mind, you know. And there was that one. And then Bosa one time said, man, did you see him go down on that one sack? He didn't want to get hit. I was like, I was trying to stay in field goal range. That's why I went down forward. But anyway, I didn't say anything, and then after we beat him, I stared right. I walked straight. Remember I called the timeout, and we went to the playoffs, and we kicked the field goal and kicked them out of the playoffs. I beeline straight for him because we never had any beef. I was like, Bosa, that's my guy. I'm walking straight at him. He's like, I'm sorry, man. Good game. Good game. I was like, all right, bro. I was just making sure.
We're good now.
Yeah. But it was after the game, but that was definitely in my head during the week.
That's interesting. Yeah.
But I love Bosa. That man, especially he's in Buffalo, right?
Yeah, he's in Buffalo.
That's going to be tough. That's going to be good.
Yeah, Derek Carr is our guest. Any particular place you loved to play at?
Oh, Arrowhead.
Arrowhead was.
I really did.
Yeah.
There was always one fan that sat right behind us, and he knew everything about me, my mom, my kids. He knew everything, and but he was never disrespectful.
Okay.
He was just funny, and just ragging on you, like, Carr, you suck. You're gonna throw us a pick. Mahomes would complete a pass. That's how it's done. Mahomes would throw an incompletion, wouldn't say anything. But it was freaking awesome. But I'll never forget. It was the Monday night game where I stepped up and hit Devontae on that deep one with two guys on him. And I came jogging off. I looked right at him. I was like, you like that? Yeah, like this. He's just laughing. He's just sitting there smiling. Yeah.
Was that the one where Chris Jones sacked you, but they called it rough in the passer when he took the ball from you?
Hey, and this is a true story. So now that we can just air it all out.
Yeah.
So after that happens, they throw the flag, and I'm like, yes. And Chris is awesome. I look up at Chris, and he looks at me. I said, are you kidding me? And he's like, they called that? I said, that's not a flag. And I just walked off. He's like, I know. And then he tried to get the ref, like, gee, Derek said. I was like, I didn't say anything. I didn't say anything. Good call.
Good call. That's it. Look, Chris, I'm out of it. My name's Bennett, and I ain't in it.
Absolutely. But
he had the ball in his hands when he landed on you.
I know. He completely took it. I never saw him. Reed was this way. Never saw him. Wham. And I was like, oh, that's gone. And then I got up. They had the flag. I was like, sorry, Chris, they called it. We got to move on.
Carl Sheffers is a cuss word in Kansas City now after that. I mean, even later in the game, like he was announcing something because the crowd went crazy. Like the crowd got so into it after that. Like it was a different atmosphere at Arrowhead at that point. And we play a clip from time to time because it's fun that Carl Sheffers, when he opened up his mic, his voice cracked and he said, "There is no foul on the play."
That's awesome.
He was out of it after that one because and it boy, and Chiefs players talked about it. I'm like, I wonder like if that's just called correctly. Yeah. And Chris Jones has the ball. Maybe the Chiefs win, maybe they don't. But there was something about that play that just pissed off the entire sideline and the whole stadium. Just felt like it was just different. It was like, all right, now we're really pissed.
Yeah, you could definitely feel it for sure. It definitely pissed them off, especially after I told Chris, that's not a flag. But I'll take it, you know. But I remember, man, we have so many good memories at Arrowhead. You know, I remember the 2016 super cold game. We were balling that year. I remember stepping up and throwing the ball, and I hit the wire on the play, and Coop is running for a double move. Like, this is an important part of the game to go ahead. He's running. I throw this ball, and it hits this wire and just falls down. Incomplete, punt, whatever. And I looked to the ref. I was like, dude, I just hit the whatever, telephone wire, whatever, the camera wire. Yeah. I was like, what? I just hit the wire. The ball, I said, it's a perfect spiral going up, and then it flutters off to the right. I was like, that's impossible. And he's like, no, it's sorry. I was like, you've got to be kidding. That's when I thought the NFL was all for the Chiefs. I was like, they're all for the Chiefs. Everyone's against the Raiders.
They are now. I mean, and I always wonder what it's like in those owners' meetings that they get together and say, hey, guys, the rest of you other 31, we are going to let the Chiefs win this one, okay? So just so you know, Raj has decided it's the Chiefs' year again.
Yes.
So, Jerry, I know that you really like to win, Jera, but it's the Chiefs are going to do it again.
We're going to let the Chiefs do it. Sorry. Derek's going to throw a ball. We're going to put a wire right in the way at the right moment.
Right. We're going to throw a flag on 4th and 6 when the Chiefs pick up 21 yards. On the Chiefs to make it 4th and 16, but then we're going to call pass interference on the Bengals to give them a first down, which is going to clearly show that we want them to win while penalizing them the play before.
That's exactly right.
That's what we want to do.
We got to keep everybody on edge.
Do players sort of get into, like Joe Burrow in the Netflix series, episode 2, it's all I've gotten to, and he said they showed that game, and he said you get some calls that go your way, you get some calls that don't, but I would have wanted that pass interference call if that was me.
Yeah.
Are there like times where you look at it and it's just like like you got screwed, or do you feel like, I mean, really, you're giving them this call, you're giving them that call, like you can't make it in that situation when you're playing that game?
We had one actually against Burrow and them in the playoffs, and not in 2016.
It was 21.
21. Yep. In 21, we're playing them in the playoffs, and they blew a whistle, and our defense kind of stops. And then, he kind of throws it, and they get a touchdown, which in that game was huge for us to move on.
Yeah.
And I remember that, and I'm like, dude, like, I would like one of those, you know, like, because it's kind of like a free touchdown, but obviously he earned it. He put the work in and all that. I'm not taking away from him, but it's like, gosh, dude, like, you would think that whether it was a ref's whistle or fan, whatever, our guys stopped. I was like, man, that'd be nice.
I remember that being like, did they replay it? Did they look into it? I can't remember.
I can't remember exactly
around
either.
That, yeah.
But it was a big deal, especially to our fans, man, because you can hear it. We heard it.
Yeah, because then Cincy went to Tennessee and won, and then they came to Kansas City.
Then they came to Kansas City, that game, and so like that, we were like, man, we get to go to Tennessee after this.
Yeah.
You're trying to look at it. We go to Tennessee. They're probably gonna play the Chiefs. Like, oh, how sick would that be? You know. Yeah. And but we end up losing the game. They got us.
Yeah, you never know what's going to happen with those.
Yep.
What's in your future now? Is it just a family? Is broadcasting or anything in your future? Doing anything around the sports world?
Yeah, some type of media.
Okay.
Me and my brother will do something. We'll do We're going to do an NFL like podcast, quarterbacks, and
nice.
This is going to be super positive. It's going to be awesome. Yeah. You know, we even if it's correcting, something, we want the guy to feel so good about it. Like, he's like, you know what, I like that. He would like even want to retweet it. That's the goal.
Very cool.
Is to bring something that, that I would like want my kids to watch,
Very cool.
And learn football,
Yeah.
teach the game, but coaching for sure. Like at some point, the best part of my game was always my mind. I was never 6'5", didn't run a 4.3. I could throw a ball pretty good, but the way I did it was my mind. I just want to give that, and further the game, help guys reach their
level
dreams.
of coaching? NFL, college, high school?
Again, never say never.
Okay.
Never want to do the NFL.
Okay.
And I say that jokingly, but my kids would have to be doing their own thing. It'd have to be years from now. College for sure, I could do that. I could help those kids. I feel like that's a good age group. High school, That would be tougher, just because of the level of ball I would want to coach, and teach. I would feel like isn't quite the level I would be doing at that point.
Yeah.
But again, just it's really pouring into their lives and helping them reach their dreams. And so I just want to help as many kids as I can do that. And then obviously I'll be preaching everywhere. I've been asked to come everywhere around the world, different churches, different states, different cities. So I'll definitely still be doing that no matter what.
Derek Carr, and still be out here every year.
I'll definitely be here. I will definitely be here. Absolutely.
Derek Carr, our guest. Well, Derek, congratulations on a great career.
Thank you.
And play well this weekend, and we certainly appreciate talking with you.
Yep.
And one of my favorite rival quarters.
Yeah, thank you very much.
In the NFL.
The Chiefs are my favorite rival team.
There we go.
There, okay. I have too many friends over there, and that's probably what sucks about it.
Yeah, and there's so many memories, so many good stories, too, with those games. They're great. Derek, thank you so much. I really appreciate it.
Absolutely. Thank you very much.
Derek Carr, one of the better guys in the sports, retiring, but not retiring the golf game. We're hanging out here at the American Century Championship in Lake Tahoe. More Zone coming up next. Wilson with you, hanging out here in Lake Tahoe. The American Century Championship presented by Bobside Auto Group, Zero Res, Window Nation, GAN Asphalt and Concrete. Thank you to Derek Carr joining us as he's got a tee time coming up in about an hour and a half here from Lake Tahoe. Justin Reed before that. So very fun interviews with both of them. Justin Reed looking back on his time with the Chiefs and, talking up Jaden Hicks and what he's going to be. And, the question that I had about, do you ever worry about, you're helping develop guys that are your backups that are potentially going to take your job one day, which is what happened with Jaden Hicks. And he said, no, you never think about that if you have confidence in what you're doing. And the quote that he gave, which I thought was great, was he said, what I learned most from playing in Kansas City is that you need every man. Every year we had someone have to step up and play a big role and make a play, so you pour everything you can into those guys too. An absolute team player. And then on his way out, talking up how good the guy who's taking his spot is going to be. I'll miss Justin Reed around the facilities and talking and things like that, and hopefully Jaden Hicks steps up. But appreciate Justin Reed and Derek Carr with those fun stories about those games with the Chiefs over the years. That was fantastic. And you know what? He's such a good guy, Sterling, because, he allows the ribbing that goes on because he said, I was asking him about maybe bulletin board or a game or something like that. And he said, there was this one time that we lost to the Chiefs. And he was thinking, and I said, Derek, one time? And he goes, okay, there were many times we lost to the Chiefs. Okay. But there was this one particular time that I'm thinking of. Derek, you were out here last year with him. He's such a good dude, and it's hard not to root for him. Seems like a great guy. He just played for the wrong team. He just played for the Raiders.
Yeah, he really is such an easy guy to root for. It's why I wish he would have had more success in New Orleans, because I'm finally sitting here going, yes, I can now root for a guy who seemingly is so nice, so caring, and yet it didn't quite transpire that way.
So what's going on at Creekmore before we take a timeout? And Ryan Fitzpatrick is on the driving range, and he's going to finish up hitting a couple of balls and then come over here. So that's awesome. We'll talk with him. And then Jay Bill is scheduled as well. So what's there at Creekmore?
Yeah, so I'm here at Creekmore. It is a phenomenal day. Again, your shortest drive of the day is getting here. I'm actually looking at Joe's Barbecue right now. They are setting up. I cannot wait to grab a little bit of Joe. Well, a little bit. Who are we talking about? A lot of bit of Joe's KC Barbecue. But I also want to give a shout-out because someone's keeping my beer cold. And also, I like to crunch on some ice, and that is Kansas City Ice. Getting the ice you need for your events can be challenging, but no more. Hot day, and you can run out of ice. That would be brutal. So wouldn't it be nice to have a local KC company there to help you? That is Kansas City Ice.
Awesome stuff, man. Well, we'll take a timeout. We'll come back, and finishing up his practicing is Ryan Fitzpatrick. We'll talk to him next. All right, we'll continue right here on Sports Radio 810 WHB. Jason Anderson with you, hanging out here in Lake Tahoe. American Century Championship. Our coverage presented by Bobsite Auto Group, Zero Res, Window Nation, and Gann Asphalt and Concrete. Joining us now, Ryan Fitzpatrick here in the zone with us. Ryan, how are you, sir?
I'm doing great, thank you. It's hard not to be doing great here in lovely Lake Tahoe.
Yeah,
right?
Lovely or beautiful. Like I joke that I feel like contractually we should be saying like it's beautiful Lake Tahoe or lovely Lake Tahoe, because then are you accurately describing what it is if you're just not saying that?
It is so picturesque, and this golf course, American Century, and the tournament they put on, like it's an amazing thing. And so I did it as a player, and it's always like the last hurrah right before the season starts. And now being a retired analyst, this is what I look forward to every year, man. It's such a great weekend for all of us.
Did you think that retired analyst would be part of your career path as you were playing?
I didn't. And towards the end of my career, I think there was a little more flair and personality shown to the outside world. And I got so lucky because Amazon, the year I retired just so happened to be the year they were trying to fill a desk for their half and post-game show. And so those spots don't come open very often. I got really lucky with that, and boy, what a great place to work and a great team that we have, not just on air but off as well. It's been really awesome.
Yeah, visiting with Ryan Fitzpatrick, and the prime part of it has been great watching you. You invented Black Friday, which is great. Black Friday football was invented by Ryan Fitzpatrick, and many people don't know that if they didn't see the commercial, which was just a video camera in the boardroom, right?
Yeah, we were just trying to figure it out in the boardroom, and somebody actually got some footage of it. And
it just happened to be like
great input. They wanted to play football in the Amazon. That was one of the suggestions, but Black Friday football ended up being a good fit, and Kansas City's been a great team to represent it as well.
Yeah, it's been pretty cool. I always love that. I'm like, man, this guy invented Black Friday. Now, if you're a Chiefs fan, you're probably not happy with them because they get put on some of these things. But that was great. And then you get the helmet birthday gift that you got as well with all the different teams. That was pretty sweet, man. That was a pretty cool custom gift.
It was really thoughtful. Had no idea it was coming, and there are some perks to playing on 9 teams. Not necessarily moving the family and doing all those different things, but the helmet with all of the logos on there was so neat. And of course, Amazon, as they do, put a visor on there with the Prime logo on the front as well.
Yeah, it was really cool. Visiting with Ryan Fitzpatrick. Is there Fitz magic out on the golf course from time to time? Or is that left for the football field?
No, it flashes, but much like the football field, there's also some disastrous play, So it's always a circus out there and an adventure. But for me, this is such a family affair. My oldest son, who just graduated high school, is on the bag for me this week. He'll be the big 6'5", 240-pound
You mean
kid.
Hype Man?
Hype Man. You saw him walking around.
We've seen Hype Man, yeah, for sure.
So he's got to wear that caddy outfit the whole time. Airplane on the way here, airplane on the way back. We'll probably see him in the lake later wearing that thing, maybe washing it a little bit. But my brothers come out as well.
That's kind of funny because we were talking about this morning that, seeing you guys out last night, you and your son Hype Man, and then this morning it's like he's wearing the same caddy out. Did he sleep in it? Has he gone to sleep? Now I know that he's required to wear that everywhere he goes, even at dinners.
It's a requirement. People keep asking him, did you lose a bet? Did you lose a fantasy football? But it's really, he enjoys it. That was what he asked for his birthday. And
was a caddy.
He's out here, and you know what, though? Hype Man might be the wrong moniker on the back because he's more of a trash talker to his father. Dad, oh my God, I can't believe you just hit that shot. Dad, you didn't listen to me on the putt. Dad, I would have done it better. So he drives me out there and kind of pushes my buttons.
We bring this guy out here, and the caddy plays better than him. You take that shot. No problem, Dad. How is that the fun relationship? Like I got a 9-year-old, and there's a little bit of that starting, but he's not to the level to where teenager and having that is that razzing sort of back and forth with your son.
Well, I think every relationship is different. So I've got 3 boys, 18, 16, and 6, and it is all those relationships. There's certainly some back and forth, and just something in my personality that has rubbed off on them.
Yeah.
But I love it, man. And he's just at the age now where he gets it, and he gets all the jokes and can give them back to you, and the sarcasm and all that stuff is just a lot of fun to have.
And he's probably one of, 18, you got a number of them, but that remember what it was like watching Dad play. So you got to experience that too with the kids knowing who you are.
It was actually I was on the range talking to Derek Carr about that, and just being old enough for your kids to remember it, for your kids to be able to experience the locker room. And so my two oldest boys, who are now 18 and 16, really got to feel that towards the end of my career. And even my daughters, who are now 14, 12, 10, and 8.
Did you guys have a TV in your room?
Too. So I don't know what you're talking about.
Just
a very productive guy,
7 kids, and what's that? 10 years?
So it was
11?
every 2 years on the dot. Yeah, every 2 years on the dot.
Is that planned?
So, everyone. I mean, they're all off-season babies. One thing when you play
See?
quarterback and you know you're not going to make the playoffs, you can start having kids in January. So you got a bigger window.
Start planning in early October.
Yeah.
We're 0-5, so I think we can go ahead and start.
yeah, all off-season babies.
That is fantastic. Ryan Fitzpatrick is our guest. How much of that was, part of the decision to retire, to step away, to then, your kids are part of your life as you're playing football, and it's like, you and that career takes a hold of everything because, there's so much involved in playing quarterback that now retiring, you're now a part of your kid's life, if that makes sense. Or maybe I'm not describing it correctly.
Well, I had kind of a different career arc in that, if you look at the first half of my career versus the second half, I really played a lot better in the second half of my career and got to, the journeyman quarterback, the guy that was able to go and be a bridge starter. I love that role. I love going to these teams and trying to lift them up and make other guys better and give them confidence. And so that was kind of the tail end of my career, what I was able to do. Unfortunately, in year 17 in Washington, I had a hip injury that was the first time where I was really like, okay, this might be it, and started thinking about it. And so my son, Hype Man, who's out here, he went to 10 schools,
Wow.
So it was nice for him his last 3 years to be at the same high school, to be able to settle in a little bit. So I thought it was fair to him and kind of fair to my wife and the family to take a breath, settle down, and start this new chapter of our life.
That's part of it that, we're obviously, in the media, we do sports radio shows, we talk about these athletes all the time. But it isn't something that, we try to point it out from time to time, but it's not something that I don't think is given nearly enough sort of thought of a guy like yourself, that your son has that many different schools that he went to through his 18 years of going through school, that the family is also, sacrificing and going along with you. And that's got to be a tough decision of like, okay, do we go to this city or that city? Because it's not just, okay, here's an opportunity and maybe the contract, but you got your kids and wife and everybody involved in this decision.
Yeah, you worry so much because for me, I lived in the same town my whole childhood. My wife, same thing, in Des Moines, Iowa. She lived in the same town. And so you start to think like, gosh, are we ruining our kids? But it was always my kids' normal was to, go somewhere, go to school for a year, meet some friends, then move to another school and move to another state and have a new adventure. And if you approach it with, that feeling of this is an adventure, my wife always did, the kids look at you, they see that it is something that's supposed to be great, and they make the best out of it. Yeah. So that's what we did everywhere we went, and we have so many great friends and really enjoyed it.
They're going to be able to make friends anywhere, right?
Yeah, for sure.
I bet Hype Man's going to make every friend in Tahoe.
The weird thing, though, now is like my 6-year-old's not going to know that life.
Oh,
right?
yeah.
He's going to know the life of probably staying in the same place and growing up with the same people, and which is the complete opposite of what a Hype Man did. So,
right.
Yeah.
Just it's amazing, the siblings, but living different lives.
Yeah.
It's always like I'm the baby of the family, so we were living different lives, and apparently there was no discipline for me. So apparently the older kids always got discipline. The younger kids are just apparently just run around and do whatever they want.
You were the spoiled one.
Yeah, apparently you turned into their friends and not their parents anymore.
And,
That's right, yeah. I saw a tweet, God, I don't know how long ago it was, but man, it spoke to me. I've got a boy and I've got a 6-year-old daughter, and you took a picture of the braid in your daughter, and I got to tell you, that is incredibly impressive, because if I tried a French braid, I mean, I might as well be trying to split an atom, and I would have more success with that. I can do just the regular braid in the back, knock that out, I can do sort of the lowest lane if I want to on the side and do some of those things. But a French braid, I'm out. I cannot do it. It is quantum physics to me.
So when my daughters were younger, they allowed me to do their hair. I came up with something called the double braid, which is essentially the normal braid, but then they would be all 3 different lengths. So I would tie it off and then start it again. I told them it was the double braid, and they loved it. Then they got old enough to realize that, It was just Dad screwing up. But finally, like, I'm coming back around again. My oldest daughter's 14, where she will allow me to do her hair.
Wow.
And wants to teach me. So to be able to do the Dutch braid on the girl, that was on my 14-year-old, and she was showing me how to do it on her doll and on one of our daughters. Super cool. And I feel like I'm getting better at it. I'm not very fast right now, but I'm getting better at it.
I don't know why I'm picturing like a family of monkeys that are eating stuff out of the hair in front of them. Everybody's braiding a doll in front of them.
Doing a braid line. Yeah, exactly.
That is great. Ryan Fitzpatrick is our guest. I kind of want to talk football with you, but I don't know. I'm enjoying this conversation a whole lot more than just talking regular football, because how much are you able to, like, sports maybe from that standpoint, like be involved in your kids' sports and going to games, and how much was that maybe a part of deciding, it's time to hang it up, it's time to retire and do some more of this?
I've always, even when I played, I've always coached my kids in basketball, and
really
found the time
to
do that. I love it. I love the sport. I think it's great and translates to all the other sports, and so I've always done that. I kind of shied away a little bit from my boys with football. They both played it, but I wasn't really there coaching it, more on the sideline than being the guy, because I never wanted to put additional pressure on them. I think I'll come back around with my 6-year-old, as now I'm old and retired, and start doing that a little more. But I love coaching the girls in basketball. So much fun, and that way you get to meet their friends. My brother lives next door to me. He has 5 kids. It's an absolute zoo, but he has a basketball court in his backyard too. So we have practice at the house. Then the girls all hang out after and swim, and it's really fun to get to know your kids' friends and their parents, and it's a good way to do it.
That's got to be like a completely foreign concept to some of your older kids now, with what their life was to now what it is now.
But even with my boys, I tried. I in the off season was able to do the basketball thing, which was super cool.
Yeah, full court press. Are you like a man-to-man? Do you 2-3 zone like Jim Boeheim?
My daughter, when they first started playing in 6th grade, my oldest, and it was all her soccer friends. None of them had ever touched a basketball before, but they were great athletes, and so we went full court press the first game, and the other coach was so mad at me. And kept saying under his breath, like, this isn't football, and that kind of stuff. But the girls all developed a real love for the sport, so it's been fun.
That's very cool. Ryan Fitzpatrick is our guest. All right, a couple of quick football ones for you, and then we'll let you go. We look at Patrick Mahomes, and he's now 30. He's, which is crazy to think about, that this is a guy that we've talked about for so long now, that there's a 3 in front of his name. In a couple months, his 30-year-old season, he'll turn 30 in September. But a lot of guys have talent in the NFL. A lot of quarterbacks have talent in the NFL. You don't get there without it. What separates the guys from, the small incremental differences of this guy's talented, but he plays like this? This guy's talented, and he plays like this.
I mean, there's an aura around him, right? I mean, he's one of those special guys that when you're in a game, whether you're on his team, you're going to win. And when you're not on his team, there's always the fear of, oh, my God, this guy's going to get the ball again. If he does, they're going to win. And he certainly has earned that and created that aura around him. It makes everybody around him better. And I think just the pairing of Patrick and Andy Reid and that synergy that they have, the ability to work together and to get the best out of everybody, it's been really cool. And even the transition that they made from being this high-powered, insane, dynamic offense to really the last few years a great defensive football team and a team that's not going to make mistakes, and they're going to punish you when they get down into the red zone. And, as soon as it becomes playoff time, they turn up the switch. Yeah. It's been amazing to see, and I think now we're going to see a little bit more of that revamped offense, firepower, the stuff that we were used to when he first came on the scene. I think we're going to see a little bit more of that this year as well.
That's the hope. Ryan Fitzpatrick, our guest, thank you so much for spending some time with us. I really enjoyed the conversation and the dad part of the playing.
Yeah.
And, play well, and if not, then Hype Man will let you know you're not. So apparently.
No doubt. All right. Thank you so much.
Absolutely. There's Ryan Fitzpatrick. We'll take a timeout. We'll come back. More Zone next. All right, hanging out here in Lake Tahoe, American Century Championship. Our coverage presented by the Bobside Auto Group, Zero Res, Window Nation, and GAN Asphalt and Concrete. Joining us now is Jay Billis here in the zone. Jay, how are you, sir?
Doing great. How can you not be doing great when you're in Lake Tahoe in July? It's fantastic.
Beautiful. It's absolutely beautiful. I think it's like 90-something degrees back in KC, and it's 77 here.
That's their problem.
That's what I said, you know.
Sounds like a personal problem to me.
But I'm working, too. I mean,
it's really heavy lifting here.
It's a grind.
People should really respect the work you're putting in.
Thank you. Sitting in the
Breaking
shade.
rocks at Lake Tahoe.
Which also wouldn't be if I had to break rocks somewhere. Maybe Tahoe's the place.
I'd volunteer to break them here.
I'd probably do that. How's the golf game going for you right
now?
Yeah.
I'm playing my normal, average, but I just need to putt better. Last year, I could have closed my eyes and it wouldn't have been any difference in my putting results. So I've been working on that for the last year to try to show a little bit better on the greens.
Do you play in many tournament-style sort of settings, or is this one of the few that you get to play in during the year?
It's one of the few. I'm not a tournament golfer.
Yeah.
I'm a 4 handicap, so people think that's good. But when you get in a situation like this, when you're putting everything out and all that stuff, at home you get that 4 handicap by raking away a 3-footer on these holes. So you got to make everything here, but it's just fun.
Yeah.
To be able to come out here and compete, and you're really competing. At least for me, I'm competing against myself. But everybody's so nice. All the players are great, and I think this is my 6th or 7th year here, and I haven't had one group that I've played in that I didn't really enjoy the people I was with.
Wow.
And the people from American Century couldn't be nicer. I mean, I always laugh when they say, "Hey, thank you for coming." You're going, "Yeah, it's a huge sacrifice to come out here and play golf for 5 days and in this setting and get treated like kings by you guys. You should thank us."
Well, we talked with Jonathan Thomas.
What a guy! What a great guy, isn't he?
And he said, we have a rule, and that is no jerks.
Yeah.
And he said we've had people out here for a year.
Well, they violated with me.
Yeah.
They clearly violate that rule.
Your secret is safe with me. I won't tell Jonathan that.
Don't tell him.
But he did say, he's like, we've had people before that were here for a year. And then we found out, they were kind of jerks. So we moved on. We didn't invite him back because we have a rule. So it makes sense that you say all these different groups you played in, no, you've thoroughly enjoyed it, because I guess that's part of the process of getting to play in this. You're going to have to be somebody that people like being around as well.
Well, yeah. And I mean, look, I'm a casual golfer. I enjoy playing golf. And one of the reasons I enjoy it, it's a social event. Mm-hmm. So, I mean, if you're going to play well in this thing, all you really have to do is lock in to when it's time to hit the ball. If you can take 30 seconds and lock in your concentration for that period, the rest of the time you should enjoy yourself. You're in a beautiful setting. I'm not going to look down at my feet walking up the fairway here. It's too beautiful. And the people you're playing with, they couldn't be nicer. And and they're all incredibly accomplished. So it's just a thrill to be here.
Is it? There's some guys that are just sort of annoyingly naturally gifted at things.
Yeah, it's unfortunate to have to deal with people like that, like Marty Fish, who hits the ball 300 yards every time he steps up to it.
Yeah, Steph with a hole-in-one a couple of years ago. It's
that is annoying.
Yeah.
You're right.
Oh, you're making it from that far now too?
Maybe they should invite jerks and get rid of the annoying. Really good players.
Agreed. Yeah. Oh, I hit a 45-foot jumper. Cool. Oh, I hit a 170-foot, par 3 hole-in-one. He just doesn't miss. It's annoying.
Yeah.
Sometimes with those guys. Jay Billis is our guest. Do you enjoy doing the NBA draft broadcast? Because if the NBA draft for me, I've called it for a long time. Being somebody that loves college basketball, it feels almost like a graduation day for guys we've watched, and now they're sort of they're walking across the stage like we would see, graduating from college. Do you enjoy that aspect of the NBA draft and what they do in college?
I do. This is my 23rd draft for ESPN, sitting on the main desk, and it makes you sound really old. I am really old.
Experienced.
Experience, yes. Sage, wisdom. But what you have to balance it, though, because – while it's the realization of a dream for the 60 players that get drafted, the day after the draft, they got to deliver on all that promise. And so, you want to enjoy the celebration part of it, but at the same time, you got to say, okay, well, this player needs to do this, this, and this to become a better NBA prospect, all that stuff. And maybe I probably spit fire, a little bit more years ago, but you tell people sometimes, not everybody's great that gets drafted.
Right. It's perfect pick for perfect spot.
Exactly.
And he's going to excel.
Not everybody's perfect, and some guys aren't going to make it. And some guys are going to outperform where they got drafted, and you try to identify those guys as best you can, but it's not an easy process. But it's fun, it's enjoyable, and I enjoy the work of leading up to it and watching all these guys. Like for the American players, I've watched most of those guys since they were in high school.
Yeah, that's a good point. Yeah, Jay Billis is our guest, and we've also seen, the second round. The draft has evolved with the NIL and the transfer portal because we're seeing. Well, I think it's to college basketball's benefit that we're seeing better players return. I'm not on board, and I've disagreed with the college basketball is worse off because players are getting paid or they're able to transfer. I'm like, but they're staying in college longer. Like, guys were going to Europe just because they needed to make money. It's like, well, you're not going to get drafted. Yeah, but I want to be a pro. I'm ready to make money. So if it's not in the States, I'll go over to Europe and make money because I'm ready to be a pro and do these things. And now we're getting those guys that are ready to be pros to make money are still in college basketball, and I think the product is better for it.
Their product is better.
Yeah.
If you know the game, and you do, you can see it. And, like, to me, look, people can like or dislike what they want. I'm not going to argue with them. But if they're trying to convince me that somehow players getting paid has changed anything with regard to how hard they play, how they relate to one another as teammates, all this other stuff, none of that's true. Because if they had the transfer portal when players weren't getting paid, the same amount of guys would have bolted as are bolting now. Because they're bolting not just for money, they're bolting for opportunity, and it didn't work out for me here. I can play a different role somewhere else. I've outgrown this, whatever it may be. But I agree with you. Like, there's nothing, and it's funny, the people who say that and they kind of lament the players getting paid now, it doesn't bother them. The coaches are making $10 million a year, and that the enterprise is a multi-billion-dollar entertainment industry, and games are being played at 9:30 on a Tuesday night, and players are being shuttled all over the place. It's pro sports, and it's been pro sports even before the players were paid.
Yeah.
And now they're able to benefit from it and put away some money. And get started on building some generational wealth for themselves and their families. I think it's nothing but a good thing.
Yeah, and nobody's ever been able to explain to me why, when they say, well, why can't they, they had an education and they had room and board. And I said, yeah, I know. They should just offer the same thing to the coaches. Well, I mean, that's different. So what's different about it? I mean, nobody's ever been able to explain to me why the coaches are going to get paid millions and millions, but the players should just be satisfied with the room and board and the education.
Right. And if you think at your school, if you think that's the right way to do it, then do it that way. Like, only offer a scholarship to players and see how it works out for you. You're not going to get the best players.
Right.
But if that's the way you want to do it, that's fine. Nobody's forcing you. They used to say nobody's forcing the players to play college sports unpaid. Nobody's forcing them to do that. They can just not play. Well, when you have a closed community like that, they were forcing them to do it.
Yeah.
It was a unilateral wage restriction imposed on the players that violated federal antitrust law. It's illegal to do that. And if they tried to do that with coaches, they would have been hauled into court the same way, and in fact have been in the past.
Yeah.
So, look, if it's worth doing, I was lucky. I played professional basketball for a while. I wound up playing overseas. And when they say love of the game, he's playing for the love of the game. I loved it more when I got paid. It's absurd to suggest that somehow you love it less when you get paid. It's just a ridiculous notion.
Yeah, Jay Billis is our guest. There's a story that I tell, and I don't know what would have happened with his career, but DeAndre Liggins played for Kentucky, and he had a child in college, and he and his girlfriend and raising this child, he was a junior, and they had played in the Final Four. I think they had that was the year maybe Brandon Knight, and they had lost in the Final Four. And he said, I'm going pro, and I'm going to Europe to play. And it was like, what are you doing, dude? You're not going to make the NBA. And he's like, I got a kid.
Yeah.
I got life. I'm 23 years old. Like, I've been in college for a number of years, or 22 years old. I still got a year of eligibility, but I'm gone. I got stuff to do. And a guy like that who was that good playing at UK, like, he'd have been able to take care of his family just fine. And would people have hated it if DeAndre Liggins played another year in college?
No, it would have been great.
It would have been awesome.
It would have been great. It would have been great.
And his kid is being taken care of. That's awesome.
Yeah, it would have been great for him, and it would have been great for Kentucky. They get another year of service out of a player that comes back. But that's sort of the thing is when nobody has any problem with a non-athlete student making money while they're in college, even if they're on scholarship. And more non-athletes get scholarships than athletes. And more non-athletes transfer than athletes transfer. But athletes are somehow in the spotlight, and I get it. That's fine. But most of the people that are complaining about it are older people, and they knew it a different way. Like the younger coaches, you don't hear them complaining about it all the time. It's all the older guys that are complaining.
Yeah.
And I get it. Like it's different for them. But, they didn't complain when they signed bigger contracts and say, this is too much. Like, shouldn't be paying us this amount. Nobody said that. They signed on the dotted line, took the money. And now you got a little bit more responsibility. And, if your players, now the good part about now with the house settlement is you can sign players to contracts. The school can sign them to a contract. Mm-hmm. You can put a buyout in the contract. The player's probably not going to go anywhere with a decent-sized buyout.
Yeah.
Because it'll count against the team he goes to. It'll count against their salary cap.
Yeah.
And that's not going to last for very long. I don't think it's going to carry the day. The NCAA is going to have to figure out, do we collectively bargain with the players, or are we going to go to Congress and try to get a federal law that's going to give us a little bit more protection? Because this is probably a 4 or 5 year runway under the House settlement. They're going to have to come up with something more lasting.
Do you think Congress will get involved and codify what's going on, or work to, make sure they stay antitrust, or because if they start doing this, we talk about coaches. We start to cap the players, earning potential. And then coaches are making $10, $12 million. All of a sudden, the players are going to go, well, what about the coaches here? Congress.
Well, if Congress makes a law, the players can say what they want.
Yeah.
It's not going to help. But what I would say is in the lead up to that, I think that's going to be a big discussion. Is like, well, now wait a minute, we're capping the players, and you're not capping anybody else. So the coaches are going to be able, the players get only what's left over, because that's sort of been the argument all this time: is where are we going to find the money? Because the coaches are getting paid this, and we're paying this much in facilities, and we're doing this, and they're not looking at the fact that the money keeps going up in all the media rights deals. It's not going down. It's been skyrocketing up, and it's only going to continue to go up based upon the value of live sports in the marketplace. But I think if Congress did get involved, they'd want to take a look at the whole thing. Their biggest issue is going to be who enforces whatever law they pass.
Right.
The federal government doesn't want to take that on, and they certainly don't want to let the NCAA do it. Mm-hmm. So that's going to be the rub, is whatever law they have, how's it going to be enforced?
Yeah. Jay Billis is our guest, and, we'll see what ultimately happens moving forward with this whole thing. But the part of the NIL and the transfer portal, some of the pushback was, and I've laughed at this, and I wanted to get your thoughts on it, is, now you're going to see these bigger schools are just going to get all the best players now, as if that's never happened before. But I see it the other way. I've long said that the transfer portal works both ways. So if you've got a guy that's not playing very much at Duke and he transfers down to VCU, is VCU better for that? VCU lost a player up to Duke or things like that. It can even out. But also, if we're talking about now paying players, I think it opens up a pathway for other universities and schools that never had a chance to land the number one or number two. Number one player in the country without NIL is not going to BYU from the East Coast.
Exactly.
But BYU landed the number one or number two, depending on the publication, player in the country because of this. That's evidence right there that it's opening up avenues for what used to be the have-nots.
Exactly. So you can marshal resources. Certainly everybody is capable now of getting better players than they could have gotten before. Everybody.
Yeah.
And that
better way to put it than my long-winded way.
No, but it's just simple. Like take Kansas for example. Like Kansas and Wichita State. I mean, the truth is, before NIL, Wichita State had very little chance of getting any player Kansas was recruiting. So now Wichita State can offer more to Kansas's fourth best player to be Wichita State's best player than Kansas will be willing to pay. Now, will that player want to do that? I don't know. I don't know the answer to that. But also with the transfer portal, one of the good things about it, and I think it's a good thing, is a player that gets pegged out of high school at a certain level, doesn't get recruited by the big shots, has to go to a smaller school, and then balls out and crushes it. Now he's really a coveted player. He can go and play on the level he wanted to be at initially. Like take a Walter Clayton Jr. Like he wasn't recruited heavily out of high school.
Right.
He wanted to go to Florida, but they didn't recruit him. And he went to Iona, crushed it, and then transfers back and wins a national championship and two-time All-SEC and All-American at Florida. And how is that not a good thing?
Yeah.
I mean, this is America. And so, but the one of the things that really helps, too, is roster limits. Like now, rosters have shrunk. So you can't stockpile players to the same level they used to before. So that pushes talent further down. So you got programs that are really smart, whether it's St. Bonaventure or you mentioned BYU, that are doing a really good job of marshaling resources, and they're having better teams as a result of it. And I don't see their fans jumping up and down complaining about having a better team.
Yeah, Jay Billis is our guest. The Walter Clayton one I think is fascinating because he goes to Iona for 2 years, and then I saw a couple of pieces that was like Walter Clayton thriving at Florida at the expense of Iona. That Iona did this. But you know what they didn't mention is that he transferred to Florida when Rick Pitino transferred to St. John's. Nobody mentions that Rick Pitino left Iona to go to St. John's.
He would have left anyway.
Yes,
but
agreed.
You're right.
But it was like, well, why are we not talking about St. John's as benefiting at the expense of Iona because Rick Pitino
and it was the
now
same
at St.
thing.
John's.
It was the same thing with Florida Atlantic. Like Florida Atlantic goes to the Final Four, and that was back when everybody said NIL is going to kill the mid majors.
Yeah.
And then Florida Atlantic and San Diego State go to the Final Four, and then everybody said the world is flat now. And then last year, all the big shots won, and now it's NIL dominates again, and the mid majors dead. You're like, it's one data point does not make a trend. 1 year does not determine this. But Florida Atlantic goes to the Final Four. They brought their whole team back the next year. So it's not like everybody bolted when they get paid. They didn't. When they all left, when Elijah Martin left and Vlad Golden, all those guys left, Dusty May went to Michigan. That's why they left. And those coaches, and I'm not arguing with their decisions.
Yeah,
what I'm
right.
saying is, like, if that's a player, we would criticize that player. If it's a coach, those coaches are breaking long-term contracts to go to another school. And we say, well, but they're going to a higher level, and this is America. They should be able to do that. And then we look at a player and say, well, you should stay at Iona for 4 years. You owe them.
Right.
Owe them what?
Yeah.
Like if you want me there 4 years, sign me to a 4-year contract and pay me the way you commensurate to that sort of value. And if you're not doing that, then you better expect them to leave. And money's not the only reason players leave. But now it's a factor, and it couldn't be a factor before.
Jay Billis is our guest. All right, before we let you go, what do you think of how many years Bill Self has left? 1, 2, 20?
I mean, as many as he wants. Yeah. Bill's about my age, so he's 61, 62 years old. And at some point, for all of us, we're going to run out of runway and run out of want to. But he still has the same want to that I've always seen. And I know he ran into a little health problem a little over a year ago, but last year he was energetic, and they didn't have the year I think everybody expected and that they expected. The pieces didn't seem to fit like they wanted, but they've got a really good group of players this year, and he doesn't lose very much, so I think he'll be fine. But it just depends on how long he wants to keep going.
Yeah,
and. I think Duke showed. I mean, Coach K was 75 years old when he quit, give or take. But they had a succession plan in place, and it's hard to fathom that guys are coaching this long now.
Yeah.
When I was a kid, I grew up in Los Angeles, and John Wooden retired when I was in 5th grade. He was 65 years old, and I thought he was the oldest man that had ever walked the planet. And 65 now is a spring chicken. Guys are coaching in their mid-70s now.
Yeah.
So Bill's got a lot of runway if he wants to, but he's one of the truly great coaches I've ever been around. One of the truly great guys.
I'm fascinated by watching this team this year because
it'll be fun.
Yeah, he's putting the transfer portal pieces together, not just let me go get the big names. Let me go get a Store, and let me go get Griffin, and let me go get different bigger names that are out there. And now it feels like what, we need this defensive guy that's a slasher to go along with Darren. Okay, now we need this guy in the down low to be a rebounder. Let's go get this guy. All right, this guy's a great player in transition and is a wing defender. Let's bring this guy in. It's like, who are these names that he's bringing in? Guys you're going to know. I think guys that you're going to know who they are as the season goes along, because it feels like there's more of I'm building a team here this year pieces are going to fit together, and we're going to play a certain way around those pieces.
Yeah, I think that was the plan last year. It just didn't work out. And part of that's maybe on the I don't know what the percentage you'd place on this, but part of it is on the personnel decisions when they were made. And the other part of it's on the players adapting to what's in front of them.
Yeah.
Like, I expected A.J. Store to adapt better to what was in front of him, and he just didn't. And it's not, you're not blaming anybody for it. Everybody was disappointed it didn't work out better, and probably nobody more so than A.J. But it just didn't work, and that's okay.
Yeah.
There's a learning curve for everybody in this. But Kentucky did it. Like when they say, "Wow, it's a new team every year," all this stuff. Well, Kentucky and Louisville had completely new teams last year, and they won. Like, how'd they do it?
Yeah.
it's just you have to make intelligent decisions, and the guys have to adapt and play together. It's not always easy.
Yeah, it's a fun time around Kansas City right now. With hopefully Tang gets it turned around. Dennis Gates going to the tournament 2 out of 3 years, and obviously what Coach Self is doing there in Lawrence as well. Jay Billis, Jay. Play well this weekend, all right. Putt better, maybe. I don't know.
Need to putt better.
Close your eyes.
That's
and
the whole
see,
thing.
yeah,
that's my next plan is closing my eyes because it wouldn't have gotten any worse last year. But I made putts today, so it's better.
Thank you for stopping by.
Thank you for having me.
Absolutely. There's Jay Billis. We'll take a timeout. We'll come back. More Zone next. Jason Anderson with you. We're hanging out in Lake Tahoe, the American Century Championship. It's brought to you by Bobsite Auto Group, Zero Res, Window Nation, and Gann Asphalt and Concrete. Sterling is hanging out at Creekmore today. We are at Edgewood in Lake Tahoe for the American Century Championship, and so far so good with the show. I don't know that we could cram one more interview in here, but if somebody stops by, then we will certainly try to do that while still sending it to Sarin. We'll see. But so far so good. Catherine Tappan, Matt Ryan, Ken Swanson, talked to Justin Reed and Derek Carr, and the previous two segments talking with Ryan Fitzpatrick and Jay Billis there. So good stuff from him. Jay Billis, you know that how he feels about some of the things that are going on in college basketball. And you know what? With Ryan Fitzpatrick, I think I enjoyed that one as much as any of them, and we didn't even really talk football. And I appreciate that because, by the way, just as an aside, because I'm glad that the guys that Ryan Fitzpatrick has a good sense of humor because he could have taken offense to my comment that I said when he said, you know, his kids are 18, 16, 14, 12, 10, 8, 6. And I said, do you guys have a TV in your room? And thankfully, Sterling, he cracked up and started laughing. And he said, I'm efficient.
Wow. Phillip Rivers, Ryan Fitzpatrick, man, I mean, that's just impressive.
Oh, it was so interesting, him with, like I said before we had him on that I was excited about it because it seems like, you know, his personality over the last year or two of his career, and certainly since he's been out of the game, has really shown more, you know, in the things that he's wearing, and you can see he's a little more fun than maybe what he was as a quarterback that was buttoned up from Harvard, you know what I mean? That now you're seeing him, and he's like, well, you know, they're all planned, and they were all off-season babies because, you know, when you're a quarterback of a team not making the playoffs, it's easier to start planning for January. It's good stuff, man.
Oh, that's
so we
incredible.
appreciate those that have hung out with us today. Yeah, it was awesome, man. I love just talking the family with him. He does he can Dutch braid his daughter's hair. That's more impressive than playing quarterback to me because I've thrown a football, and I've also attempted to French braid my daughter's hair. And I will tell you this, throwing a football, much easier than trying to French braid my daughter's hair. So that thing is a freaking maze wrapped in a labyrinth, wrapped in a riddle to how to do that. And I watch some of these moms that are, you know, able to just quickly French braid, you know, daughter's hair, especially like in the dance world. And it's like watching somebody pull off a magic trick with like 17 different cards. I have no idea how to do it. And he's sitting there doing the Dutch braid, and I was like, dude, that's so much more impressive than anything else.
You should have had him try and Dutch braid your mullet.
I trimmed it a little bit, you know. I trimmed it. It was getting a little out of control. You know, it was getting a little crazy. I was able to put it into a ponytail. And so I figured, you know, if I have to put it in a ponytail because it's getting a little too wild back there, then maybe just, you know, how about just cut it? So I did that.
You don't strike me as a man bun type of guy. I just don't see it on you.
No. Well, it was flaring out for like the wings, you know what I mean, in the back, and I was just when it was windy, and so we were playing, you know, with the little man's games, and so I'm like, you know, let me put this in a ponytail back here just until the game starts, so it's not like all over the place, you know. And of course, then some kids were making fun of me, and I'm like, I don't care, man. You know what? How about this?
The
you
kids
guys win
did. I
this
thought it was
tournament.
the other dads. I thought the other dads would start ripping on you, but the kids are ruthless, man. They're at that age, 9, savage.
Yeah, I'm not gonna lie. It was the coaches and dads that were ragging on me. I'm not gonna lie. Just a couple of kids were like, "Hey, your hair's in a ponytail." I'm like, "Yeah, I know. I'm just trying to make sure it doesn't get like crazy before the game." I'm like, "Oh, okay." And then the other dad's coach like, "Yeah, man, I'm not sure you can hit infield today." Like, I'm not sure I'm going to let you hit him. Like, what? Like, I've never seen it. It's off-putting. I don't know. Just seeing you wearing, like, a year ago at this time, your hair was very, very short, and now you've got a pony. I don't know, man. It's off-putting right now. But Bethany actually asked Ryan when we got done there if his girls have braided his beard. And he said that not long enough yet, not long enough. So certainly appreciate all the people who have come out here and have hung out with us, and we'll see who else we can get tomorrow. Looking forward to that. But really interesting stuff. If you missed any of it, it's going to be on the podcast. The stuff we talked to Justin Reed about playing for Spags and what Jaden Hicks is going to do, and lessons he learned from being in Kansas City and taking that to New Orleans, and happy that he's not going to St. Joe and staying in the dorm and eventually living and
let me tell you about Louisiana, Justin, about humidity down there.
I
think
from
you
there.
might want to come. Well, yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
He's probably
but he did say they're going to spend 10 days of camp in L.A.
That's right, yeah.
So, but also with staying in the dorms in St. Joe is different than we're going to be practicing in Louisiana.
That's true. I always forget we're like one of the only team. I mean, like the Steelers, us. There's probably more, but I always forget.
Go away, right?
No. I think they go to Thousand Oaks, California.
Thousand Island.
Maybe they go to Thousand Island too. I like that.
That's their issue. That's
like
the
that.
Cowboys' issue. Is they're focused on dressing instead of football.
Yeah, that's right.
You both just jumped at that. I barely stuttered over.
No, it's all good.
He accidentally
we let everything slide
on one word.
But yeah, I think
speaking of sliding, Bobby Witt Jr., huh?
Okay. Yes, that was a great slide. Great slide.
No, but I know the Cowboys go to California. My bad. I don't know if it's Thousand Oaks, but I know they go to Cali because of the. I mean, Cowboy fans are everywhere, but that's large majority is in California.
Yeah.
I just don't know why
that was
Saints
interesting
of all teams, but yeah.
Yeah. But that was interesting. But it's only 10 days, though, so their whole camp isn't there. They only spend – so it's like a little break. It's like, all right, we're here in the heat. Okay,
right,
you got 10 days in L.A., and now we're back. Whereas in Kansas City, it's like we're in St. Joe, you're in the dorms, and you ain't going anywhere until we're breaking camp to head back to Kansas City. So, it's a month here. There's no reprieve. There's no joint practice and heading to somebody else's practice. No, there's none of that. No joint practice, none of that. You're here in St. Joe. So, as he said, I'm probably not going to miss that. Probably not going to miss St. Joe. But it was interesting stuff hearing him talking about the culture and what he can take to New Orleans and what he learned from, Spags and Jaden Hicks and Nick Bolton and the defense and teams that tried to – I just love the fact that, him saying the teams that tried to intimidate the Chiefs when they would, show up on the field. And he said, Andy Reid had the saying, throughout the week, we talk up the other team and tell everybody how good they are. And then we go out there on the field, we let them know who the real bullies are. Like, hell yeah.
It's the Zach Randolph. Where I'm from, bullies get bullied.
Yeah, 100%, man. And that's what the Ravens tried to do. So that was good. Derek Carr stuff was good as well. But we'll see who else we can talk with tomorrow. Looking forward to that. So, and whoever else will head out here. So you're at Creekmore. Before I talk a little Royals here to wrap things up, I do want to know what's going on out there real quick.
Yeah, Creekmore, it's, again, just phenomenal. New bar, new patio, and it overlooks everything. It is just a gorgeous day, a gorgeous course. It's been so much fun. Great day out here at Creekmore. It's not just a great golf course, but if you're wanting to host a party, give Rick Scott GM a call at 816-331-2621. I feel like you right now, because I'm looking at Joe's. They have Joe's here today, Joe's Barbecue, and I'm staring at it, just waiting to get off the show so I can just crush some Joe's Barbecue. If you're looking for your next party, you're hosting it at home, you're watching some games, Royals games, football games, doesn't matter, tailgating, again, NFL coming around the corner, make sure you get Joe's. And also shout out to KC Ice, Kansas City Ice, keeping my beer cold my entire round out here at Creekmore. So Kansas City Ice, absolutely phenomenal company.
Well, that's what you're looking at, and I'm looking at, Vince Carter and Justin Reed, and there's Josh Allen.
Can't drink or
Charles
eat Vince
Barkley.
Carter. Can't eat or drink Charles Barkley.
That's right. Got
well,
Sam
I'm not
Darnold
going to. Maybe Jay.
there.
I'm just saying, I'm not going to. I'm going to eat Joe's and drink cold beer from KC Ice. Not doing it, Jason.
Already?
Not doing that one.
Did not know, but I mentioned Albert Pujols there. So there you go. Like I said, we're going to talk Royals here. Here you go. Here's our Royals talk. At breakfast this morning, we met a family that lives down the street from Bobby Witt. Our son grew up playing. Yeah, Bobby's our neighbor. Like, we know him so well. He's such a good kid. I'm like, well, we like him in Kansas City. Yeah,
I believe again.
Appreciate that.